Okay, my dudes, we are live. We are live with the setup that we were supposed to have yesterday. Now, yesterday, the stream came crashing down. So I'm praying to God that we are all good today. Let me send out a notification for Discord, and this is going to be a fantastic stream. And right away, I need to pull up the live chat because last time I went on like a 5-minute rant while everybody in the live chat just couldn't hear me whatsoever. So let's pull up the live chat. Let's pray to God that people can hear us, that we are coming through clearly. And yes, guys, we have a new setup. I really hope y'all like it. We are going to see some new things when we go through the stream. So of course, go down there, drop that like, and y'all know today's a great day. Today, we are getting some fantasy football drafts underway, and I know that we made the announcement yesterday that we are going to be doing our $500 league today, and I hope you saw my announcement on either Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Patreon, wherever you follow the channel, that last night we did have to postpone the draft one day because we were going to have this new setup up. Yesterday, it crashed, so I couldn't afford to spend $500 on a fantasy draft, and then all of a sudden get 5 minutes in, then the stream crashes. Then I'm scrambling to try to put the stream back up. At the same time, I have picks on the clock in a $500 league. So, of course, I can't necessarily risk that. So, we're having to do a practice stream tonight. That way we can get that $500 league going tomorrow. So, guys, if you want to come out, you want to play in the $500 league, it's very simple. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sending the link to the league on Patreon first. I'd imagine we get probably 4 or 5 people joining from Patreon. And then from there, once everybody on Patreon gets their spot, then I'm going to be sending out the link in the live chat, and we are just going to have to hope that that league fills. I'm assuming that there's enough haters. There are enough haters down there in the comment section that think that they are better at me than fantasy football. And I promise you, hey, listen to me, you hater. You are not better than me. I am putting up my $500 against yours. I'm going to take yours more times than not. So if you really think that you are that much better than me, come out to the live stream tomorrow night, big fella. We can determine it right there if you have that to put up. And great news for you is if you use promo code FLOCK, if anybody uses promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy right now, the best place to be drafting fantasy football teams in 2021, there's a hack, there's a glitch in the system for whatever reason. I don't know. They need to patch this ASAP because I have no idea how Underdog isn't going bankrupt with such a good deal. But if you use promo code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, you get $25 extra added onto your account when you deposit $10. And at the same time, you get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. While a lot of people are going out there selling their draft guides for $70, I would make the argument that ours is better. Now, all you have to do is you have to take $10 of yours, and instead of going and even spending that $10, just going and playing some fantasy football drafts with it, win even more money with that draft guide. So yeah, this is going to be a very exciting live stream. We'll get that $500 draft going tomorrow, but for now, let's go through. Let's get this link out to everybody on Patreon who wants to join this draft right away. Like I said, guys, y'all know how we do these live streams every single night. Is the first draft I will upload that on Patreon for all those Patreon supporters. And then the drafts after that, we will be posting them in the live chat for everybody who comes out right away and hangs out with us in the live stream. But anyway, let's get this going. I believe we should be able to put this here. And yeah, let me also switch this around. It's going to be a little hard to get everything up with the new stream when we only have one monitor, but we should have a second one coming soon. And drop a like on the stream for the 101. Give us that luck now. Okay, I timed that well. I timed that so well, but you weren't fast enough to drop a like on the stream, so we get the 111 anyway. But honestly, I don't care. I'm fine with the 111 because you know what this means? This means that whenever I hack the system and I actually go behind the firewall and I do my little Mason code and I somehow can't figure out how to get a live stream going, but at the same time, I'm a computer hacker genius and I get myself the 101 in that $500 draft, nobody's going to be suspicious because I've had the 111, the 110, the 107, the 16, the 104 in every single one of these drafts so far. So guys, don't think I'm unlucky. Just know that I'm a genius with how we're pulling this off. Understand that. Okay. So it sounds like we got some people in the live chat that were able to make it up. Okay, Zachary says sub only and pinned message reminder. Yes, sir. Thank you, Zachary, in the chat. Guys, let me give everybody a reminder as we did yesterday. Zachary is the one who came through and he got us this setup for everybody that I think this should help out. Please give Zachary that big time thank you. But anyway, Christian McCaffrey going off the board here at the 101. That is not going to surprise anybody. And also let's play around with this, guys. You're maybe going to have to give me a little bit of time to get used to switching everything around, but I promise you we'll get it done by the end of the day. And that's why I wanted to get this practice stream out here to make sure that we are going to be a-okay for the live stream that we are going to have tomorrow night. Let me pull that down. And now we have 4 running backs to start this draft off. Davante Adams does go at the 105. So really, I love that value that you're getting with Davante Adams. Y'all know my opinion on him. I think that given the floor and ceiling combination that he has, you want to be taking him at the 103. So getting him at the 105 is going to be fantastic. But we don't need to talk anymore about Davante Adams because everybody already knows where I stand on him. And now let me also go switch this to sub-only chat, because if this chat isn't on sub-only, there's no way I'm going to be able to catch up with it. There's no way I'm going to be able to read it. I also wish we could put the chat on like only, as in if you didn't drop a like on the stream, you can't chat, but for whatever reason, YouTube has not responded to my request to do that. So here we are. Now let's get ready to switch this over. Derek says week 7, never forget. My man, I'm not going to forget. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Let's pull this back up. Now we are going to be at the 111. Now, you know what we are doing here, boys. You know that we are taking the falling knife, the player that's been falling in every single fantasy football draft. And no, we are not taking him apparently, because instead he goes at the 110. Now the question is, do we decide to do something a little bit different? Do we decide to go with a wide receiver in Stephon Diggs that we rarely ever draft in this range? Usually I like to go with the running back. And I think given us wanting to try some new things out, especially for that $500 draft, instead, I'm going to be trying to go a little bit running back heavier. As of late, we've been kind of making the balance between going with those running backs and wide receivers early. I think based on a lot of drafts that I've been breaking down on Patreon and looking at y'all's projected points, I think it's maybe a little more optimal than I initially thought to be going running back heavy at the beginning of this draft than getting those extra roster spots for wide receivers near the end. So I want to kind of test it out going with Austin Eckler at the 111, even though I know Stephon Diggs would have been a fantastic value there. And post Dillon does end up getting Diggs Ridley, a common turn pairing that you're going to find. Now, I think when we get to this range, we're just going to be going with an Antonio Gibson. DeAndre Hopkins is very intriguing. And honestly, do we know? I think when we pass on Diggs, when we pass on Ridley, there's no real reason for us to then just turn around and take DeAndre Hopkins. Y'all know I'm not taking Nick Chubb. With Nick Chubb, I don't think he has access to the ceiling that we're looking for, giving his passing down role. So instead, we're going to go with Antonio Gibson, someone who really profiles to be, I want to say, the next version of David Johnson in his second year. So yeah, we're going to go Eckler, Antonio Gibson, RB, trying to get some more running backs going early and see how we like our draft a little bit more if we decide to hammer in those wide receivers in rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And see how this build turns out. I really want to get this practice in for that $500 draft. Okay. Alpha says, I'm new here. What is on the Patreon? Okay, so the Patreon, if y'all haven't noticed, I really haven't been talking about it that much because I will be completely honest. We have more people right now in the Patreon chat, in just the overall Patreon community, than I ever thought we would ever have. And the growth has been extremely organic in that I never really promote Patreon. I never really talk about what's on it. But since you're asking, okay, so with Patreon, for anybody who joins the Flock Patreon, what I do is I go through and I make a podcast breaking down your fantasy football team that you send over for me. Also, all the constantly updated rankings are there. To go along with this, our Patreon chats. To go along with this, you get extra podcasts daily. We also send out our first drafts on Underdog every night on Patreon. And I think that we are also going to be giving out Patreon hats sometime soon. Now, I went through and I put an order with a production company that I've been keeping everybody on Patreon up to date with. And you haven't got an update in probably about 10 days. And that's because they made a hat. I told them, I don't like that. You need to make these adjustments. I told them that about 10 days ago, and I've yet to hear back from them. But I promise you, we're getting those Flock hats hopefully soon. They told me it was going to be early September, and I guess now that we made an adjustment, maybe it's a little bit later. So yeah, there's a bunch of random stuff on Patreon, but it's more so just for like the die-hard supporters of the channel. So I kind of make it where we don't talk about it too much, and instead we just have people naturally finding it that are really diehards and want to be members of the Flock. But if you want to support the channel and you don't want to make a $7, $16 donation every month, that's completely fine. And I still thank you for your support in coming out to the live streams, dropping those likes, subscribing to the channel, leaving comments, and how you can easily support the channel that is just as effective as Patreon is by depositing $10 on Underdog Fantasy. This is mainly why I've been actually promoting Underdog way more than we've been promoting our Patreon, because I actually think that going and depositing $10 on Underdog is a no-brainer when you're getting that $25 bonus, when you're getting our draft guide, when you're helping us get closer to our 10,000 goal. When we hit that 10,000 goal of people signing up for Underdog with code FLOCK, we're doing a 24-hour live stream where I'm just going to be doing drafts. I'm going to be doing so many crazy things that I can't even think about right now. And at the same time, we are going to be flying some people out to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with us. And we're going to do a Florida Flock meetup directly after. I'm going to wear a Flock mascot costume. So yeah, I definitely recommend, if you're wanting to support the channel and you're not a die-hard member of the Flock, definitely do it by depositing $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. But if you're a die-hard, you can always go over there to Patreon. Okay, so now I guess after we go running back, I don't want to say we want to see wide receivers going off the board, because to be completely transparent, I mean, if we had a DeAndre Swift falling to us at the 311, of course I'm taking DeAndre Swift. Honestly, if we have a J.K. Dobbins falling there, I'll probably take a Dobbins as well. So I think that we're just kind of chilling when we go RB at the 1-2 turn. And it's a little less ideal to be taking Eckler in the first in a half PPR format. I think in a full PPR league, you're definitely a lot more excited about that first round pick, which is why I was kind of hoping that we were going to get Saquon Barkley at the 111 instead, or maybe even an Aaron Jones. I am a little reluctant to say that Eckler has the same touchdown upside as either an Aaron Jones or a Saquon Barkley, as we've already seen Aaron Jones being an elite running back in the NFL in his touchdowns. I still think we made the correct decision. I definitely want to see how we play out near the end of this draft. And I will say, I never thought I would say this, but we actually drafted on another platform that we used to use all the time earlier today in our Dynasty startup that we did through Patreon. Oh, that's a big other thing. Through our Patreon, we do a bunch of Dynasty leagues. Now, this isn't a Dynasty channel, so I don't talk about it that much. But anyway, we drafted on another platform. And what I really missed so much was the fact that here you have 30-second clocks. I didn't realize how much I love these 30-second clocks and how it makes you stay on your toes. And here, I think we continue to try something that I've had, I don't want to say a lot of success with, but I've had a lot of fun doing. And that's going to be going hyper fragile running back. We're going to go Eckler, Antonio Gibson, Chris Carson. Now, I want to see what Post Dylan decides to do, because I think if we pass on Carson here, easily he's going to take Carson at the 3-4 turn. There are a lot of wide receivers in that same range, and I do want to be getting one of those running backs. So he goes Godwin. So I think when he goes 4 wide receivers, he's going to be put in a very tough spot, because this is best ball. You don't have access to the waiver wire. He's going to be put in a very difficult position in rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, I think, to try to chase running backs. And when we can push the board where you look at Justin Fields as 3 running backs at the same time, I think we're going to have a great opportunity to have 2 teams with 7 total running backs through 3-4 rounds of this draft so far. So what that is going to do is these teams like Smitty, as well as Post Dylan, as well as Let's Go Blue, those teams that did not decide to draft a running back in either the first, second, or third round that I do often, I think they're going to be put in a very difficult spot given the format of this league, where yes, the value is going to be at wide receiver, but can they take advantage of that value? Now let's see where Justin Fields decides to go. He goes Cooper Kupp to get his first wide receiver. Now, Jordan says, what time is the $500 draft? Jordan, I don't know if you were able to see the announcement either on Twitter, Discord, Patreon, Instagram, but we actually postponed the $500 draft last night to Sunday, so to tomorrow. And then it's going to be our second draft of the night, so it's most likely going to be around 9 p.m. EST, a little bit beforehand. I mean, if you get out at 8:40, you're 100% going to be able to make that draft. But we had to postpone it because the last time we tried to live stream with this setup, which was last night, everything crashed and I had to restart the stream. And I thought about it, and I really can't afford to go through and have the stream crash when we are in the middle of a $500 draft, because it's not like I can just throw $500 away. And it wasn't a big deal whenever the stream crashed when we were only in a $5 draft, because I was still able to kind of do it with not that much pressure as we reset up the stream. But it's a lot of work on my end, and the last thing that I needed was to have $500 on the line. The stream crashed. I can't do anything about it. So yeah, we're going to postpone it until tomorrow night. I really hope that we get enough people out here in this chat that want to join. Like I said, we're going to upload that link first on Patreon. Then we're going to be uploading that link in the YouTube chat for everybody else to join. So yeah, I'm really hoping that y'all come out. I hope that y'all are going to enjoy that $500 draft. It's tomorrow night, so we got to get this practice in. We're probably going to be doing a decent amount of drafts tonight. Okay, so Link Dog says 11 can be a tough one to pick for you. You get sniped a lot from that 12 guy. LOL, unless that dude is SPAC. He always gets his man. Yeah, yeah. I wish we had Spack in this draft. Spack said he was going to be coming out. I saw him send a message in the Discord chat. I also saw him trolling on the video we uploaded today where I go through and I talk about my top 5 running backs, and Spack was asking where J.K. Dobbins was. So I hope that he comes out here. I hope that he can make the live chat. So now we have a run on wide receivers, which is what to expect. I mean, you see those wide receivers go very often in the 4th round. You can pretty much just name the 4th and 5th round the rounds of the wide receiver, because really the only other players that you're going to be seeing going from that range, you're going to get a Miles Sanders, a Travis Etienne, a Josh Jacobs, sometimes a Mike Davis, and then you have the elite quarterbacks and the tight ends. But mainly it's just going to be wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, which should be expected because the majority of the time they are the best values in the draft. Okay, so Rich says, Mason, my dude, what is the price of the next draft? I'm ready to get one with the flock. My man, we are going to be doing another either $5 or $50 draft after this one. I'm going to be asking a poll in the live chat for everybody who's out here with the stream with what y'all want to do. I think that's the easiest way for me to do it, because if you aren't going to participate in the draft, you can vote on what you want to see. I'm definitely not going to be doing a $100 draft tonight, though, because I want to make sure that we kind of set aside some funds so we can do that $500 draft tomorrow night, because that $500 one, I mean, if you think about it, we do a lot of $5 drafts to get that practice going. That $500 draft is literally combining 100 of those $5 drafts, which of course is simple math. But if you sit down and you think about it, 100 drafts takes a long, long time. If we did 3 drafts a night for an entire month, that still wouldn't equal the same amount of dollars USD that it would if we went out and we instead just did the $500 draft. Actually, now that I think about this, that may have been embarrassing mouth. No, we were correct in that. I for a second, I thought we were embarrassing ourselves with some horrendous math, but no, I think we were correct in that. Let me know if I'm embarrassing myself. We're going to vote between either $50 or $5 for the next draft, depending on what y'all are wanting. And also, guys, if you have not already, drop a like on the damn stream. What are we doing out here? 320 people in the live stream and 100 likes? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now, guys? Are you trying to make me cry on the stream? Is this because I started running back, and you don't recognize who I am? Guys, this is the Fantasy Vlog Network. I understand we went running backs early. I understand that we try to push the board around a little bit. And you better believe if we would have got Josh Jacobs falling to us at the 5'11", we would have been drafting 5 running backs to start this draft. But yeah, I guess that now that we have all these elite tight ends go, we have those running backs go as well. We are going to be in a spot where, okay, I want to pay attention to what post Dylan's going to end up doing here. So wide receiver, I think we do end up taking an Odell Beckham Jr. I can't take, I mean, a Mike Davis, in my opinion, he is just so much further down than all these other running backs. I think I need to make an in-depth video on Mike Davis just because I'm really looking at him as a player that I probably will never draft in a single league this year. Now, with Odell Beckham Jr., I understand that if you're playing in a format where you have to submit your starting lineup each and every week, that's not necessarily going to be a player you're very excited about. But understand that Underdog is a best ball format where you don't have to submit that starting lineup each and every week. Your highest scoring players actually automatically go in for you. So the weeks that Odell Beckham Jr., he drops 40 points, all of a sudden he's in our lineup. Whereas the weeks that he drops 3 points instead, we don't have to worry about it because we weren't starting him to begin with. Okay, so now we are on the clock again. I think we go with Robbie Anderson. So we're going to get Odell and Robbie Anderson. Yes, both on a week 13 bye, but I think that this early on, we don't necessarily need to worry too much about our bye weeks. Okay, so Kareem Hunt goes to the 603. And guys, reminder, I think this kind of goes without saying, but we need to make sure that when we start running back, that we see some more running backs go off the drop board, because a big reason that we actually have that start to begin with is because we're hoping that teams kind of push the running back position up. And if it doesn't happen, we're going to be put in a very difficult spot. But let's see. Okay, so East Midi ends up coming away with Josh Jacobs and Javonte Williams at the 5-6 turn. That's honestly a lot better than I thought he was going to be able to pull from there. So I actually really do like that team that he currently has, especially if he does get that Javonte Williams breakout earlier rather than later. I actually think that this team has probably some of the most upside in the entire draft. Rizbub says, yo, just subscribed. This channel is a W. My man, did you really just embarrass yourself like that? You just subscribed to the channel. Do you understand how long we have been around and how long we have been dominating the game, and you're just now joining the flock? I can't. What the move is for you to come out in the live chat and go, hey, if anybody isn't subscribed to this guy, you better subscribe. I've been out here for 2 years. That's what you're supposed to say. I mean, that's how you get some credit in this chat right now. But of course, I'm just joking, my man. I'm happy to have you joining the flock. You're getting here very early because I promise you we're hitting 100,000 subscribers, so you're just on the ground floor. Now we have some more wide receivers going. Got Chark, Tyler Boyd, Mike Williams, Kenny Golladay. Mike Williams does seem a little early here. I understand that Golladay is falling due to the hamstring injury, but right now, I don't know if we can be taking Mike Williams over him. I will say Mike Williams with an incredibly high average depth of target, obviously with the best quarterback play he's ever had. Definitely a player that should be rising in fantasy drafts, and he's a much better fit in these underdog drafts, given the fact that he is someone that, with his incredibly high average depth of target, he's going to have some random spike weeks. You could see Mike Williams dropping a game where he has 3 receptions, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns, which usually you kind of have to fade that in regular fantasy football when you're submitting your starting lineup each and every week. But here, maybe it's a little bit different given the fact that those guys are going to make it and pop up into your starting lineup. And also, it is noteworthy to see how early tight ends win in this draft, where you do have Pitts, Andrews, and TJ Hawkinson all going in the 5th. We actually were able to pull a few teams with both Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson in the 6th round. A few, I believe, last night, to be honest. So that is going to be interesting. Rich says, Underdog is not allowed in Delaware. I drove to Maryland. Mason gambled, my dude. Scared money doesn't make money. My man, thank you so much for the support. Driving, guys, do you hear that kind of dedication to the fantasy flock? Do you hear that? Can someone take a little ounce of that kind of dedication? Someone driving from Delaware to Maryland so they can use promo code FLOCK and play on Underdog Fantasy. And you're sitting in your bedroom right now, watching this live stream, understanding everything that you get by using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, understanding all of that, understanding how much it helps the channel. And at the same time, you're not willing to take the 3 minutes to get it set up so you can hop in a draft with us. My God. Ricky says, underwear, laughing my ass off. Yeah, my man, I read Underdog and Delaware at the same time. Pretty funny combination. Okay. So got Juju, Antonio Brown, Devonta Smith, Michael Gallup, Jerry Jeudy. Obviously, this is not ideal, my dudes. Obviously, we do not want to see these wide receiver runs going. We need to see some running backs going off the board. Let's Go Blue is yet to draft a running back. He has gone Kelsey, Keenan, Amari Cooper, Julio, Josh Allen, Boyd, and he takes his first running back in Michael Carter in the 7th round. Now, I'll say I think that all of these picks are fine. I don't necessarily understand the Josh Allen. I think when you're taking Josh Allen in the 5th, when you do not have a stack potential with Stephon Diggs earlier, I think you're more so doing so just to be cute. And the correct play, in my opinion, would have been going with the Josh Jacobs there. And I understand wanting to pass on to Trey Sermon for a Tyler Boyd in this format. That makes complete sense. But I think when you start your draft off with the tight end and 3 wide receivers, and you have the potential to take Josh Jacobs in the middle of the 5th round, that's something that you need to do. Okay, so Wilson goes at the 707. Okay, so I'm sure East Midi here wanted to get Russell Wilson in the 7th to stack with DK Metcalf. Actually, probably couldn't, considering that he did take Mahomes in the 3rd to get that stack with Tyreek Hill. Now, like I said, guys, we actually drafted Mahomes in multiple drafts last night. I didn't love how those teams turned out, but every time we did so, we actually ended up drafting Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce in the 1st round, and we got Patrick Mahomes on the way back in the 4th. Actually, I guess one night we didn't get that stack, at least in one draft, but we were drafting at the 407 and Mahomes fell that far. And I was like, it's either going to be Mahomes here or Brandon Ayuk. So I think we go with Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so now we are about to be on the clock at the 7:10. And there are a few wide receivers that are interesting, but given the fact that we go with an Austin Eckler in the 1st round and Justin Herbert is a massive quarterback falling here, I think we actually go with Justin Herbert. Let me remind everyone that this is a league where your playoffs matter a lot more than what you actually have in terms of the points at the beginning of the season. Then there, I actually think that we are fine with, instead of going with a guy like Justin Herbert, going with the Michael Thomas. But Michael Thomas is going to be a little less valuable here because the points at the beginning of the year matter just as much as the points at the end. So in a draft last night, we actually took Mecole Hardman over Will Fuller, but that was whenever we had that Kansas City stack. So talking about stacks real quick, just understand that you don't have to go out of your way to completely chase them, but it's more so when you're using tiebreakers. So Will Fuller and Mecole Hardman are in a very similar range for me, but when we have Patrick Mahomes, you better believe that it's going to be a much better call to instead actually go out there and draft a player like Will Fuller. Okay, let's pull this up. And now we got Fuller, James Robinson going directly after him. So I think that we've actually, I don't want to say caught up completely at wide receiver, but getting Odell, Robbie Anderson, and Will Fuller is going to be nice in this format because we are going to be able to go through and just roster so many wide receivers when we go with 4 running backs at the beginning. Because to be completely honest, I'm probably not drafting another running back unless we get a great value guy falling to us. And also when we take Herbert, we're probably only taking two quarterbacks. So this will be a build that we can actually go 2 QBs at the top. Then we're going to get 4 running backs. We're going to go 3 tight ends, most likely, considering that we passed on tight end up until this point. So we do some quick math. We go 2 plus 3 plus 4. That's 9. So we have 9 slots for our wide receivers here. I think that's going to be completely fine. Bode says, hey, what website are you using to draft? We are using actually one of the best fantasy football websites that you can use to become a better drafter in 2021. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's actually Underdog Fantasy, where essentially you can do drafts and they're called best ball. So you're not going to have to submit your starting lineup throughout the year. You're not going to have to do waivers. So instead you can go through and you can do about 10 drafts. And at the same time, you never have to look at those teams ever again because your automatic starting best lineup is going to get submitted for you each and every week. And at the same time, like we said, no waivers. So what you can do is you can take advantage of some crazy hack that they have in the system right now, where if you use promo code FLOCK, like it's a combination of FLOCKE, I mean, no E at the end, guys, no E at the end, but it's like how you used to play Guitar Hero and, you know, like a string of keys or something, unlock something. It's exactly like that. You string together those letters. They're actually directly behind us if you forget them. And you get $25 added onto your account. And at the same time, you actually get our 2021 draft guide. I don't know how that's even legal, but somehow it is. So I definitely would take advantage, and I'll definitely use that little hack / cheat code on Underdog Fantasy and become a much better drafter. Okay. So Ben says, WTH Herbert in the 7th. What sorcery is this, my man? I don't know if you're telling us you don't like our Herbert pick. I don't know if you're telling us that it's fantastic value, but I mean, getting Herbert in the 7th when we have Eckler in the 1st, definitely going to love that. I mean, we do get Justin Herbert about 2 rounds directly after a Kyler Murray. That's not necessarily world breaking, but if you actually look at the quarterback ADPs from about a month ago, they were a lot closer than that. Okay, so James Conner at the 902, Dallas Goedert at the 901. So guys, like I said, we need to see running backs going off the board, and James Conner usually falls to about the 10th round. This is earlier than both Zach Moss and Ronald Jones usually go as well. So we're going to be getting some wide receiver value falling to us. I mean, McCole Hardman, someone that we actually considered up here at the 802. Yes, we did go with Will Fuller, but he falls to the 903. So I think these teams like a Let's Go Blue, and also, I mean, you see some other running back needy teams up here going Kareem Hunt, James Robinson. These teams are definitely going to have to start grabbing these guys. Now, A.J. Dillon, a fantastic value there at the 905. I mean, I am personally very jealous of that A.J. Dillon value. I would definitely go through, and I would rather have the combination of T. Higgins and A.J. Dillon versus David Montgomery and whatever wide receiver we're going to be getting here in the 9th round. But also, I guess we could go tight end. We could get our second quarterback. There are a couple different things we can do, but we definitely don't want to be looking running back if we can avoid it. Now, if the value's there, the value's there, but we will figure that out. Now, let's switch this over to see what players are going to be on the board. So we are about 4 picks away, as y'all can see. Now, the teams before us, okay, go Logan Thomas, Tyler Higbee. So I guess at tight end, we're going to be looking a little thin now. Rashad Bateman goes directly before us as well. So see where Justin Fields decides to go. He actually has 3 running backs in this roster, but if we pull up his roster, his running backs were at the very top in Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins. Then he went wide receiver and tight end after that. Then King Tanner right before us as well, sniped us on Barkley. He also has Kareem Hunt, James Robinson, and a decent amount of wide receivers. So Ruggs goes, let's see where Tanner goes, and Noah Fant. Okay, Noah Fant would have been someone that we would have drafted here as our first tight end. Kind of sad to see him go off the board now. We're not going to consider a quarterback in this range, given the fact that we have no stacks. We already have Herbert, so there's no reason for us to even think about that. What we would be thinking about is possibly getting a 5th running back if the value presented itself. Now, I know Melvin Gordon is a great value here, but we can't necessarily go that route. So instead, we're going to take a healthy Devontae Parker. We're going to get our 2nd Miami Dolphin receiver in here. I actually really like Devontae Parker in a format like this. We have seen him be the wide receiver 2 before, a top 5 wide receiver for the second half of that 2019 stretch whenever you had Fitzmagic in there and you also had Preston Williams down with the ACL. So now when we are on the clock yet again, after seeing quarterback go off the board, Corey Davis would be an easy pick for me here if it wasn't for Jamison Crowder restructuring his contract. I actually think we possibly go with the Russell Gage. Russell Gage fits our bye week need. We're going to be getting him as our wide receiver 5. Robert Tonyan, I'm not a massive fan of because we are going to be expecting just a ton of regression from that overall situation. So yeah, we are going to get Russell Gage at the 10.02. That is a fantastic value at Melvin Gordon with the 10.03. Okay, I'm dying of thirst, and we're about to pass 200 likes. 200 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping that like. Okay, PJ Frost says, how much is it to join? Okay, so we actually run about 4 drafts every single night for anybody who wants to come out here and join. We do a few $50 drafts. We do a few $5 drafts. The majority of drafts that we do are $5, and that's mainly because you want to be getting that practice in, going up to your own drafts. And like I said, deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy. You get a $25 add on top. So all of a sudden you have $35 in the account. You can join 7 $5 drafts with us. So I definitely recommend depositing $10, seeing if you like it, hopping in some $5 drafts. Don't necessarily just go out there and hop into like a $25 draft all the way. I mean, right away. Johnny says, how early is too early for Jonathan Taylor? Now, Jonathan Taylor I actually have ranked as my 2.07 in a 12-team PPR format. We had him previously as our 107 in our initial set of rankings. Then the Carson Wentz injury dropped him down to the 201. And then the injury to Quentin Nelson dropped him down to the 207 because, guys, Quentin Nelson is a damn good player. So we are going to be having to adjust our rankings due to that. MD11 says, Perriman Goff is stack is still slept on. My man, I will say that Perriman and Goff maybe are intriguing in best ball, but beyond that, definitely not intriguing in a regular league. Okay, so a bunch of people talking about a specific stack that I can't find in the chat. Anyway, let's go back to the draft board here. I do love that Marvin Jones value that you're getting at the 10.09. Jones was actually a player that we could have potentially considered at the beginning of the 10th round. Now, when we see these quarterbacks going off the board, honestly, I like it considering the fact that once we decide to pass on wide receiver so early, we're definitely having to, instead of looking at quarterback, we're just going through and trying to find that value that we can at receiver in these middle rounds, knowing that we're most likely going to have to punt quarterback to a later date. Okay, so let's see. Caden says, yo, bruh, check out the 105 team with that deadly stack. Yes, sir. Let me go through. Let me pull that up. Okay, so at the 105, we have Adams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, Mike Williams, Juju, Aaron Rodgers. That is some massive value with Aaron Rodgers right there to get him with Devontae Adams. That is fantastic. And you get A.J. Dillon and Robert Tonyan as best values according to ADP. My man, this is San Diego's finest. Came out, actually joined our Patreon Dynasty startup earlier today as well. So that is a hell of a start. Congrats, my man. That is massive. Okay, so let's switch this back. Now, Gus Edwards, Leonard Fournette. Come on, get these running backs off the board. We do not need any more running backs falling back to us here. That is what we do not need. Latavius Murray, thank God. Okay, now who's the best player available? Okay, so you got some wide receivers. You got Kenyon Drake. Y'all know I'm a fan of Kenyon Drake. Y'all know that. Okay, so, well, never mind. Kenyon Drake is off the board. We got 4 running backs in a row. Thank God we can get some wide receiver value falling to us. Steven says, next draft, I'm in there. Yeah, guys, like I said, we are going to be putting out a poll in the live chat going, do y'all want a $5? Do y'all want a $50? And y'all can essentially vote on what y'all want this next draft to be. We're not going to do any $100 drafts tonight because, like I said, we're doing that $500 draft tomorrow night. And if you want to join the $500 draft, just make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you come out. Make sure you're just in the live chat because I'm first going to send the link over to Patreon to make sure that anybody from Patreon who wants their guaranteed spot, they can get in. But I can almost guarantee you that draft is not going to fill on Patreon. So we're going to be sending that out in the live chat, begging some haters to come up and post their $500 and try to take mine. Because like I've said so many times before to all the haters, not to the supporters of the channel, because the supporters of the channel, clearly y'all are geniuses based on y'all enjoying these videos, supporting the channel. So obviously y'all are about the smartest people in fantasy football. But the other people, the haters, I'm smarter than you. I'm telling you that. I'm going to be able to take your $500. If you don't think so, come out to that draft and we'll see what you have to say about it. Okay, Aguilar at the 11-10. So I think what sucks here is we already have Fuller and Devontae Parker. We missed out on Tua Tagovailoa, but we are... Come on. Okay, thank God. Oh my God. I thought we timed out on Mike Gesicki. I thought we timed out on him. Okay, so the draft we did earlier today on the Dynasty channel was actually a 90-second timer, not a 30-second. So we got to realize that we can't talk through our picks like that. We got to be a little bit faster here. So yeah, Mike Gesicki, it sucks that we don't have the opportunity to take Tua Tagovailoa because now we all of a sudden we have a massive Dolphins stack that doesn't necessarily make sense. But still, I think that it's the correct pick given the fact that I don't like Adam Troutman and we needed a tight end. So now I think we just continue to go wide receiver. We're looking for someone with some upside. So we're going to go with a Terrace Marshall, who reportedly is playing some in the slot right now at training camp. So yeah, let's get Terrace Marshall coming in here at the 12:02. And now so far our draft, honestly, I think it's been very balanced out. I mean, we do get a lot of wide receivers coming in. We have Odell, Robbie Anderson, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Russell Gage, Terrace Marshall. We're going to be able to draft 9 wide receivers on this team, given a best ball format where the best guys are going to slide into your starting lineup each and every week. I actually really like that construction. Okay. PJ Frost says, are you doing any drafts on Sleeper for Patreon? Yes, those are our dynasty drafts will be there. Our dynasty drafts on Patreon will be there, but all our 2021 drafts, because I think this is honestly a much better platform, is going to be on Underdog Fantasy. So yes and no. Okay, Brody says, how high are you on TJ Hawkinson? I personally love the situation with that weak receiving core. What are your thoughts? With Hawkinson, obviously, this is a tight end that was an elite prospect going into that 2019 class. And at the same time, who is there to throw the ball to currently on Detroit, not named DeAndre Swift outside of TJ Hawkinson? So I'll say, yes, I definitely like Hawkinson. I actually have him ranked over Kyle Pitts. So you better believe we've actually drafted a decent amount of TJ Hawkinson while we haven't drafted a single share of Kyle Pitts yet. Okay, so Jamal Williams, Devin Singletary, Naheem Hines. Okay, so come on. Get these running backs off the board. I do not want to have to be looking at another running back when we're on the clock. Okay, JN says, Colin Johnson has been Trevor Lawrence, a go-to receiver. Let's go. My man. But we'll see when we get to the season. We'll see when we get to the season. Okay, Smokin' House Production says, I love your draft so far, specifically your first 3 picks, Eckler, Gibson, and Carson, all great players. Thank you, my man. Mainly did it for the construction that allows us to go with these wide receivers in the middle rounds. I will show anybody who did not come out to the draft at the beginning, the very top of this draft, where we went Eckler, Gibson, Carson, Montgomery. Then after that, we just hammered in wide receivers with Odell, Robbie Anderson, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Russell Gage, Terrace Marshall. We have, I don't want to say an elite quarterback, but a quarterback that allows us to only build around 2 guys in Justin Herbert at the 7-11. And we also have Mike Gesicki at the 11-11, sadly missing out on Tua Tagovailoa 2 picks prior. Okay, so let's get this back going. Let's see where we're going to be. Okay, so we have that wide receiver run happening here. Obviously, that is not ideal. Not ideal in the slightest. Drew says 30 times 5. 1,500. Drew, thank you. Thank you, my man, for putting me in my place. Thank you for that, my man. Okay, so Brian Edwards, David Johnson, Randall Cobb. Actually, no, Drew, you were wrong on that. It's 150. I need to make sure that we're double checking. That's 150. That's 150, my man. Okay, so Matt Ryan at the 1305. So let's pull this up. We are approximately, let me switch this back over. We are going to be 5 picks away. J.D. McKissic goes off. Okay, good. Now, really the only running back that you could expect to even go off within the next few picks would be Alexander Mattison. So we're not going to be expecting more than 1 running back to potentially go. And also the teams before us also have 5, 5, 4, 4. So maybe we don't even see Alexander Mattison get drafted. But we're going to be hoping he does. Now, Jacoby Myers does go at the 1307. Then you have Jonnu Smith at the 1308. Now, Justin Fields, King Tanner, Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins this early. That is way, way, way too early for Sammy Watkins. I mean, trust me, I'm a guy who used to have a Sammy Watkins jersey behind him for pretty much 2 years. I love Sammy Watkins. Loved him coming out of Clemson in 2014. Loved him when he was in Buffalo, especially his second season in Buffalo in 2015. But at this point, that is just a pick for the past. Now we're going to go Evan Ingram. Very excited about getting Evan Ingram here. He's going to be our second tight end to go along with Mike Gesicki. I still think we possibly take a 3rd tight end in this league. We're just going to mainly see where the value falls because now I think that we have the luxury where possibly we can wait and just go with 2 tight ends if we can continue to get some wide receiver, or maybe even another running back value. Okay, so now Alexander Madison does go at the 13-11 to post Dylan. So he goes with Brashad Perriman right before us. So I think what we do here is we take a pick that I would never make unless it was a best ball league. I think we actually go with an AJ Green, because with an AJ Green here, simply he's just going to be playing a lot of snaps in a very good offense with a very good quarterback. So yeah, we're going to go with AJ Green there at the beginning of the 14th round. Now, if you're playing in a league where you have access to the waiver wire, where you're submitting your starting lineup each and every week, never consider drafting AJ Green. Do not even think about drafting AJ Green, but still. Okay, so Brandon says, how much do I have to deposit for my first deposit on Underdog? My man, $10 with promo code FLOCK gets you a $25 bonus, as well as our 2021 draft guide and our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. Just make sure you shoot me a DM on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Discord, wherever you can reach me. Tell me, hey, Mason, I used your promo code. Here's the email that I did it with, so I can go out there and confirm. So yeah, make sure you definitely go out there and do that. Okay. So let's see. Brian says, get that Baker Odell stack. I think that with Baker Mayfield, he's just going to be a quarterback that I'm avoiding where I can. There are a couple of reasons for this. A, he's going to be playing on a low passing volume offense. B, he's a quarterback that does not run the ball whatsoever. So, of course, we have to understand how that limits his ceiling in a way. And you're just hoping for an elite season with his touchdown rate. And C, you really have to be a little concerned about the decision making, considering the fact that, Baker Mayfield willingly went to live in Oklahoma for multiple years. And if you're willing to go and make that decision, I think that we kind of have to question what else you're willing to do. So with a Baker Mayfield, we'll take him where we have to, but there are three major red flags that we're looking at. He was a Sooner, guys. Can we at least take that into consideration? Okay, so it looks like Rich says $50 draft, Mason. Jayan says $50 draft or I unsubscribe. My guys, we'll see what y'all are wanting. We'll see what y'all are wanting. Party Till She's Hot says, love the new graphics and setup. Good job, Zachary Link. Yes, sir. Thank you, Zachary Link, for setting us up with all of this. Okay, so now Cole Kmet goes to the 1502. Cole Kmet could have been an intriguing pick if we decided to go tight end over AJ Green. We honestly probably should have gone with Cole Kmet. One of the reasons I didn't is because he was so far down the ADP board. I thought there was a slight chance that he ended up getting back to us at the end of the 15th round. But that's a bad thing about picking at the very end. We've talked about this before, where we go through and we say, hey, if you're picking at the end, really there are no such things as a bad pick, given the fact that you're not going to have access to those players falling to you 22 picks, where, maybe if Cole Kmet's down the board and we're picking at the 6, 7 spot and we're picking every 12 picks, then we can go, okay, you know what? Let's pass on Kmet. Let's see if he makes it back to us in the next round, where we just have to understand that that is very unlikely to happen to us in a format like this. But scrolling to the top so everybody who's just now joining can go through and see. And honestly, maybe we just switch it over to not having a camera right now. That way we can see in the entire draft board. Diami Brown, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, John Brown going as these wide receivers. So maybe we are excited about the AJ Green pick, because I don't think necessarily any of those players project to see the same type of volume. Now, keep in mind, we do still need a quarterback on this roster, as our only quarterback so far is actually Justin Herbert. I believe we have 7 wide receivers, 4 running backs, most likely done at the running back position, unless we have some great value falling to us. Now, let's switch this up real quick. Let's get who we are going to be drafting ready. Okay, so we can go QB, wide receiver, tight end right here. I think that we actually have to consider taking a quarterback. Now, we have the potential to stack Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold, so we're going to wait until the way back. And instead, I actually think we get a tight end. And I know that a lot of people are going to be screaming at me to go with an Anthony Firkser. And honestly, we'll just go with Firkser. I think that we possibly prefer Austin Hooper slightly. But given the fact that he's a few rounds ahead of Hooper in ADP, I think where we have the opportunity to draft both, if we're going to be doing 200, 250 of these drafts, we just kind of have to go out there and get the guy that's a little higher in ADP. But post Dylan back on the clock here. Let's see where he decides to go. So at quarterback, we're essentially going to be taking one of 2 players. We're going to be either taking Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold. Now, we can go with either guy. Let me check to make sure that none of them have the same buy. Okay, so I think we go with Daniel Jones, given the fact that this is someone that has a rushing upside. Now, the problem is Kenny Golladay injured, as well as the offensive line. But I think we go with the Daniel Jones over Sam Darnold. So with the Daniel Jones, actually, no, we also have Robbie Anderson. We have to get Sam Darnold here because we have a double stack with both Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall. Now, we're not reaching massively for Sam Darnold in the same range of the other quarterbacks that we were considering. So that's a big thing in going, okay, well, are we going and actually having to reach up for a player, or are we just taking someone in the same tier and we're kind of structuring differently based on our previous picks and trying to maximize our upside? And I think the pick of Sam Darnold is the latter, not the former. So Sam Darnold in the 16th is what it's going to be. Okay, so Hamler, Daniel Jones. And yeah, see, guys, I think that personally we want to be making sure that if we need another quarterback in a draft, we are going through and we are getting them in the 16th round every time. Because by the time you get to the 17th, that's when you're taking guys that you don't know if they're going to be starting each and every week. That's when you're taking someone like a Cam Newton. That's when you're taking someone like a Taysom Hill. So yeah, I think that it's actually going to be a lot preferable to get your guy in the 16th round rather than waiting till the 17th, which is what we do here. Now, Zachary coming out and embarrassing himself. Zachary, did you really have to do that in front of everybody in the live chat saying Boomer Sooner? My man, that is embarrassing. I'm honestly kind of sorry for you. Of course, thank you for the donation, but at the same time, I wish you wouldn't have. I wish you wouldn't have. Okay, so Ryan is asking, is this the $500 draft I just joined? No, sir. So like we said previously, we made the announcement on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Discord. We actually had to postpone the $500 draft until tomorrow night, given the fact that we have a new stream setup that we are doing that we tried to do yesterday, and that stream actually crashed. So I want to make sure that we can make it through an entire stream with this stream setup being good, because if we cannot afford a stream crash in the middle of a $500 draft, or I'm going to be scrambling, we maybe waste an entire $500 buy-in, which of course would be horrendous. Jayan says, ratio, hook 'em. Jayan coming in, representing. Of course, thank you, my man. Party Till She Saw says, hey, bro, thank you so much for pushing the $500 draft back a day. I saved my lunch money and will be there, boss. Okay, Party Till She Saw coming out for the $500 draft. My man, I am happy that you're going to be out there. Actually, let's switch this. Let's switch this. Y'all don't need to see those picks over there. Let's make sure that new members of this stream coming in don't necessarily just think that we're commentating over nothing at all. I think that this looks a lot better for any new users. And now we love to see these running backs going off the draft board. We need to see running backs drafted. A big reason why we drafted 4 running backs at the beginning is when you draft 4 running backs at the beginning, you have the potential to go through, and instead of having to continue to hit those guys in the middle rounds, you can instead make a pivot, and we can start drafting extra wide receivers for those flex spots. So yeah, I show y'all what we did at the beginning of this draft. We went Eckler, Gibson, Carson, Montgomery. Then we went Odell, Robbie Anderson, Herbert, Fuller, Parker, Gage. At tight end, we went Mike Gesicki, Evan Ingram, Anthony Firkser. We got some more wide receivers in Terrace Marshall, AJ Green, Anthony Firkser for our 3rd tight end, and Sam Darnold as our last quarterback that we can go through, and we can get that double stack with both Robbie Anderson as well as Terrace Marshall. Okay, so now Deshaun Jackson goes to the 1705. Jackson, a wide receiver that I have not taken in a single league here. I understand people wanting to take Deshaun Jackson, given the fact that you're looking at someone who, yes, can see spike weeks if he stays healthy all 16, but I think that's very unlikely. At the same time, they draft Tutu Atwell. I'm assuming that they're not necessarily planning on Deshaun Jackson 16-week healthy season. So yeah, I mean, Jackson's someone I'm avoiding. Winston as well. You don't know if he's starting all 16 weeks. Zachary coming out, hitting him with a Boomer Sooner. Thank you, my man, even though you're just embarrassing yourself, and I really think that you should stop. Okay, so now let's switch this back over to the draft so we can figure out who we're going to be going. So I think that we have 2 QBs, 4 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. Honestly, if we had a quarterback falling to us that we really like, we can take a QB here. We can take any position but tight end, to be honest. So if we were going to be drafting, let's go through and let's play the what-if game. If we were going to be drafting a running back, we were drafting most likely, actually probably not Darrington Evans, probably James White. If we were drafting a wide receiver, we were most likely going to be going with the Kadarius Toney. No, we'll probably go with the Darius Slayton over Kadarius Toney. If we were going quarterback, so Post Dillon has a quarterback after us, so we can't even consider QB. So I actually think that we go out and we get our next wide receiver in Darius Slayton to get us 8 wide receivers on this team. Now, I think that we're potentially going to take another quarterback at the same time. James White goes to the 17-12. Okay, so maybe we go 3 QBs here. So if we're drafting another quarterback, the thing is Cam Newton's going to have a higher average points per game than Jared Goff, but do we just prefer the guy that we think is going to be starting all 16 weeks? I actually think we probably prefer the QB that's going to be starting all 16 weeks in Jared Goff. We could also get a running back in Darrington Evans, but I actually think that Jared Goff is going to get more usable weeks for us here. Wide receiver, we're going to go Jared Goff. I almost took Kadarius Toney, but we're going to go Jared Goff. We do crack 3,000 in our projected points for this lineup. Of course, that's kind of the mark that we are looking for. So I am excited to be getting that out there. And yeah, I mean, let me know what y'all think about that last pick. I think that if we took another quarterback a little higher than a Sam Darnold, like maybe if we went with a guy like, just say Matt Ryan as our quarterback 2 instead, then possibly we stop at 2 QBs. But Jared Goff, I think we kind of have to get as a third guy when we wait so long to get Sam Darnold as our second quarterback. Okay, so now let's go through and let me know if y'all are wanting I'm going to send out a poll real quick. That way we can get this going very fast. Let me know if y'all want a $5 or a $50 draft. We're going to vote on this. Okay. And just whatever y'all want, we will end up doing. Okay, so Drew Lock at the 1807. You never see Drew Lock drafted in these drafts. That is very, very interesting. Eric Ebron at the 1809. I really do like that Eric Ebron pick. Okay, so I think that because we've done, last night we only did $5 drafts. Let's make the mark where if 50 gets 45% of the votes, we'll do 50. That's going to be the mark here. It's not going to be just whoever has the most votes. If we need at least 45% of the people wanting to either see or participate in a $50 draft, and then we'll do that $50 draft. If not, we can get another 5. I promise y'all we'll get a $50 draft going tonight regardless. Okay, so we have some more tight ends going off. And let me just go ahead and end this poll. I think that we are going to end up having 5 win it. SPAC is out here in the chat. SPAC says 5. Now let's see what ended up winning. Now Carson Wentz at the end of the draft. Okay, guys. Yes, like I said, we are going to be getting, let's pull this up real quick. Let me get us set up real quick with our next draft. It looks like it is going to be a $5 draft. $50 only got 31% of the votes. I promise y'all we'll get a $50 draft going in this live stream. But first, let's do another $5 draft for anybody wanting to hop in. And maybe we'll do, since it's Saturday night, maybe we'll do 4 drafts tonight, mainly going to depend on the amount of people that come out, the amount of likes that we get on the stream, showing kind of the demand that we have for some more drafts. So yeah, let's get another $5 draft going. And I'm going to send this out in the chat, and make sure, guys, you click that link as fast as possible. These $5 drafts fill up a lot faster than the $50 drafts. This draft will probably fill up in 3 seconds. Seriously, I'll go through and I will share my screen so y'all can see how fast this is going to fill up. Just look at the very top. So make sure, guys, before you come out and wait for me to send the link to the private draft in the live chat, you need to make sure you're setting up your Underdog fantasy account, because if it's not already set up with promo code FLOCK, then you are not going to really have a shot. We just sent that out and you go filled. Yeah, see, guys, it fills in like 3 seconds. So you have to make sure you already have your account set up, because since Underdog is giving you that $25 bonus, you're not going to really have the chance to just set it up that easily. You have to make sure that you get your identity verified, which usually in my case took me about 5 minutes. I've heard other people say it takes them a little less. Some other people say if you're from Canada, it takes you like up to 10 minutes for customer support that they need to get back to you. I've heard other people from Canada say it doesn't take them any problem at all. So just know, to get your identity verified for you to actually be able to play on Underdog, it's going to take anywhere from 0 to 10 minutes. And considering that these drafts fill up in 3 seconds, you've got to make sure that you do that before we send the link out in the chat. So Devin says he got the 101. Spencer says he's in the chat. SPAC says he didn't get in. SPAC, hey, should I take Antonio Gibson at the 103 for SPAC? Are we going to do it? Are we going to represent SPAC out here in the chat? Of course we're not. Of course we're not, guys. Do not worry about that. Okay. So I'm assuming this draft, let's predict how this draft goes. Okay, let's predict. We got CMC, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Travis Kelce. We'll go Tyreek Hill. I'm going to predict the first 8 picks. Okay, y'all heard. Christian McCaffrey, we're 1 for 1. See if Link Dog, okay, we're 2 for 2. Now we are 3 for 3. Let's see what the 4th person decides to do. Okay, see where Papa Scoogs goes. I can switch this over real quick to the draft board for y'all if y'all prefer looking at that. So Alvin Kamara goes. Okay, so we lose it at 4. We lose it at 4. Of course, 1 through 3, we're a lock when we're picking at 3. Obviously, we know exactly what's going to happen. Okay, so Matt says he gets the 110. Brian says he gets the 108. Spencer says first time trying and got in. Brian says finally got in one. Thank you, my dudes. Thank you. Devin says, wait, you just sent a draft? When was the vote on 5 or 50? My man, we had a solid vote on 5 or 50. We had a solid vote on that in the live chat. I don't know if you were looking at the live chat. I don't know if you were paying attention. But Alvin Kamara at the 104. Derrick Henry at the 105. Nick says, I've officially made my first deposit on Underdog. Took me a week and a half to get verified from Toronto. Oh my gosh, my man. Now that is a horror story. That's the first time that I've heard someone saying that it took them longer than a day. I'm sorry that happened to you, my man. I am sorry. Okay, Callie, big guy says, I am frustrated. I click on the link and it doesn't work. Yeah, guys, like I said, if you click on that link and 11 other people click it before you, I'm sorry, but it's just going to be a full draft and you're not going to be able to get in. But we're going to be doing 4 of these every single night until the season starts. I want to say 4 on average. Maybe sometimes we do 5. Maybe sometimes we do 3. But the majority of times we've been doing 4. We did a 5 draft stream, I believe, on Thursday night when we had the Hall of Fame game. Now, that was brutal. I don't know how many more of those we can be doing. And if we get 10,000 people that use promo code FLOCK when they sign up for Underdog Fantasy, which should be very easy. You get paid $25 to do it. You get my 2021 draft guide, which I would argue is worth $70. You also get our Dynasty Rookie draft guide, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of draft guides for making a $10 deposit, then going out there and playing some fantasy football drafts. It should be easy, considering the fact that a lot of these live streams get 10,000 views. So yeah, if we hit that, we're going to be doing a 24-hour live stream. A 24-hour live stream. And if you're saying, well, Mason, I've already done my part to go out there and help us get to 10,000. I already deposited with promo code FLOCK. Well, hey, you know what you can do? Drop that like on the stream. Help us get recommended to some new people. So now that we see Ridley falling to the 203, I remember back when we started doing these streams, we were drafting Calvin Ridley at the 205. Now you're never seeing Calvin Ridley go past really this 1-2 turn. So it is interesting to see Ridley go to the 203. Metcalf, someone that has been sliding up. Nathan says, sent you my draft with a 3-2-3-4 projection on Discord. My man, Nathan, did y'all see what Nathan just said? Nathan on Underdog got a 3,200 projection. I think that we have done over 30 drafts. I don't think I've gotten a single draft with over a 3,200 projection. That is crazy, my man. I'm going to be very happy to see that. Guys, off the top of your head, let me know in the chat, what is the highest projected team that you have drafted on Underdog? Because like I said, we are probably going to be doing some like flock hat giveaways and stuff when that company finally gives me those hats. I think that's going to be really fun if I go, okay, the highest draft of the night in terms of their projection on Underdog, they're going to get a flock hat. I'll send it to you for completely free. So let me know what y'all's highest projections are, because if I hit 3,000, I consider it a good draft. I'm happy when we hit 3,000. Okay, so after going with Devontae Adams in the first and the second, let's see, Najee Harris goes. So I think that when we have Darren Waller falling to us, we just have to take Darren Waller. I mean, we don't necessarily have the need at receiver. And when we take a tight end like Darren Waller, we're getting the luxury of only having to draft 2 tight ends in the entire room. So yeah, we're going to take Waller. Probably not going to draft another tight end until like Gerald Everett, Austin Hooper, that tier of guys. So yeah, I think that Waller is going to be a fine pick of the 210, given the fact that in an Underdog draft, really the roster advantage that you get is absolutely massive. Okay, so Daniel says, if you do 3 quarterbacks, it will almost always be 3,000. I wonder if there's something to that. I wonder if you actually have that projection being that accurate, because a lot of stuff that I have seen makes it seem like 2 quarterbacks is going to be a lot more optimal when you actually go through and you draft your first quarterback, like the Mahomes, the Kyler, the Josh Allen range. So I wonder how much there is to that. Okay, so based on Justin Jefferson being day-to-day, I guess we take either Jefferson or Keenan Allen, whoever falls. Or actually, you know what? We learned our lesson. Actually, I don't think we can do it. Maybe we have to take Swift. I don't think we can reach on Swift. Now, I told myself in a draft a while ago that when we take Devontae Adams in the first, we have a rule that when we get to the third round, we have to take a DeAndre Swift. But this is a $5 draft. I think we get some practice. We see if we can get away from it. So instead, we are going to be going with a Keenan Allen at the 303. So we're starting this draft off Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Keenan Allen, literally in a completely different build than what we did in the last draft. The last draft, we went running back, running back, running back, running back. So now let's try out some new things. Let's continue to mix it up. Let's make sure that we are going to be confident with what we can do from any position in the draft in that $500 league tomorrow. Now, Swift does go at the 305. And also, we're about to pass 250 likes on the live stream. Thank you so much, my dudes. Okay, so Allen Robinson at the 306. Really love that Allen Robinson value. You know, Allen Robinson actually one of my highest drafted players, if not my highest drafted player from the third round. Robert Woods at the 307, a wide receiver that I'm also very high on. So maybe we're excited that we're getting wide receivers going off this board like Robert Woods in the middle of the third. I mean, when you kind of pass on the running back position, of course, you want them falling. You want some wide receivers going. Because a lot of the times when we're on the clock in the late fourth, early fifth, the best value available is going to be receiver. Teddy says, Mason, sorry, is this a $500 draft? My man, the $500 draft is tomorrow. We had to postpone because we have a new stream setup. Last time we tried the new stream setup, it actually crashed. So I made an announcement last night on Twitter, Patreon, Discord, and as well as Instagram saying that that draft actually gets postponed until tomorrow. That's why we have this labeled as $500 practice draft. I promise you, tomorrow night when we have that real $500 draft going, the title is I spent $500 on this fantasy football draft. That will be the title. Okay. Griffin says, why didn't you take Tua on your last team? Because he got sniped 2 picks before us, my man. He got sniped 2 picks before us. Okay, so David Montgomery goes here at the 312. Okay, Carson at the 310. Come on, get some wide receivers going. Chris Godwin at the 401. Okay, let's see what receivers are still available on the board compared to the running backs. Mahomes still falling. Like I've said so many times before, I think we really only want to be drafting a Patrick Mahomes when you take Travis Kelce, when you take Tyreek Hill in the first round. So, I mean, with a Mahomes, I think that where were the Kelce and Hill teams? Okay, the Kelce and Hill teams aren't until the middle of the first. I was just mainly trying to see where they were in terms of, I mean, did they pass on Mahomes in the fourth? But no, they didn't. Okay, so maybe falls to the 406, which would be massive to start Kelce, Mixon, Woods, and Mahomes. Okay, where is that thing? Okay, here, perfect. Okay, so DJ Moore, see where Flattery decides to go. He goes Mike Evans. So we have a wide receiver run going. Abuth does get Mahomes at the 406. That is a massive value, and it fits the team really nicely. Congrats on that draft pick, my man. PJ Frost says, hey, Mason, how long does it take for Underdog to verify your account? Guys, like I said, Underdog does need to verify your account because, I mean, you're getting a free $25 when you sign up with promo code FLOCK, so Underdog has to make sure that you're a real person, and they can't necessarily just have someone making a bunch of spam accounts and then all of a sudden robbing them for a ton of money. So they will have to verify your account before you get in one of our drafts. It usually only takes like 5 minutes or less. I mean, I bet you if you ask 90% of the people in the chat right now have joined Underdog, my man, and used promo code FLOCK. So just ask it in the chat, and everybody in the chat, let him know how long it took Underdog to verify your account, because I know some people from Canada say it takes a little longer. For me, it took about 5 minutes. I've heard other people say it's instant. So please let me know what y'all are saying in the chat with your experiences. Okay. So I think when we pass on running back that early, I like the value of a T. Higgins, but a Miles Sanders here we can't pass on. So we're going to start this draft. Adams, Waller, Keenan Allen, and Miles Sanders at the 410. I really, really love this start. I mean, when you're passing on running backs through the first 3 rounds and you don't pick again until the 10th pick in the 4th round, if you get a Miles Sanders falling to you, you have to be very happy. You have to be very happy with a Miles Sanders. Okay, so Lank Dog goes Brandon Ayuk at the 411. I don't know if we can go with a Brandon Ayuk whenever you do have a T. Higgins on the board. Higgins goes at the 412. Adam Thielen at the 501. Okay, Corey in the chat says it took him a couple minutes to get verified. Crunch says it took him a couple minutes. Zachary says it took him 5 minutes. Yeah, so it sounds like Underdog will verify you in 5 minutes or less, my man. It's just because, like I said, they have that hack on the system right now where if you use promo code FLOCK, you get our draft guide and you also get $25 added to your account. So they can't just be going out and giving just $25 to people who aren't verified. So you have to make sure you get verified. And I think we just go ETN here. We're going to go Travis Etienne as our running back too. Y'all know I'm a massive fan of Travis Etienne. There are no obvious stacks for us here in the 5th round, so it's going to be an easy pick. And I think we're really excited with how this draft has gone so far. Get 2 of the highest upside receivers in the entire draft, get an elite tight end. So we're only having to draft 2 tight ends in this format, and we can go through, we can roster either another quarterback, we can roster another wide receiver, maybe even another running back. So yeah, I definitely love getting the value of a Travis Etienne there at the 504. I kind of figured we were going to go running back. I didn't know if we were going to go Etienne or Josh Jacobs. Mainly it was just waiting on seeing who was going to indeed fall to us. But yeah, Etienne there at the 504, I'm very happy with. Okay, Nathan says it took him 30 seconds to get verified on Underdog. Yeah, guys, like I said, it just is a tiny process so they can go, okay, are they a real person? Yes, they're a real person. Let's give them that $25 for using promo code FLOCK. Okay, Tommy says, hey, Mason, what value do you think Mike Evans has in Dynasty? So with Evans, I know it feels like he's been in the NFL forever. He was actually drafted in the 2014 NFL draft class. And the thing is, he was just an automatic producer at 21 years old coming out of Texas A&M, his rookie season. So that's why it feels like he's been in the NFL forever. But in reality, I believe Mike Evans is actually only 27, 28 years old. So if you go through and you look at that, this is a wide receiver that every single season is posting 1,000 yards years. He's still at the very minimum worth a 1st-round pick for myself in Dynasty. And now if it's super flex, you have to kind of draw the gauge on if you were trading a 1st from a very bad team. Would you rather have the preferred early 2022 1st or Mike Evans? Now that's a little bit harder to say, but Mike Evans still at the very minimum worth a 1st. Of course, I mean, I'd be very happy to go through and share my Dynasty rankings with you that are on Patreon. Just join the flock on Patreon, and we have those consistently updated Dynasty rankings. Okay, so now we have Kyler going at the 504, Allen at the 506. I just really don't think you should be drafting Josh Allen over Josh Jacobs when you don't have Stephon Diggs and you only have 1 running back on your roster. Let me know if y'all think I'm bad with this, and I want to remind everyone, I was screaming earlier this offseason that Jacobs was overrated when he was going in the 3rd round. I was screaming it. He was going in the 3rd round after Kenyon Drake got signed there, which I was looking at the guaranteed money for Kenyon Drake, yelling that it was one of the worst picks in fantasy because they were going to be closer to a committee. Now he's fallen 2 rounds. The reason I hated drafting Josh Jacobs is because people were drafting Jacobs over receivers like Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore, and I thought that was ridiculous. But now when you're faced with a decision, do I go with an Odell Beckham Jr. or a Josh Jacobs? It's a completely different opportunity cost where all of a sudden I think Jacobs is actually the better bet, even if we know Kenyon Drake's going to be getting touches. So don't paint me into the corner as the Josh Jacobs guy. I've hated Josh Jacobs for years now. The only time I have not hated Josh Jacobs is in the past week when he's fallen to the mid-5th round consistently. Okay. So we have some more running backs going off in Gaskin and Mike Davis. So I wonder if Fallon here, who took Lamar in the 5th, was hoping that Mark Andrews was going to fall to him in the 6th. That would be interesting. I think if you can pull it off, it's kind of hard to pull off because a lot of the times Lamar is going in the middle of the 5th and Andrews is going in the middle of the 5th as well. So it is really hard to pull off the stack. But if somehow you can get a Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews in a stack at a discount this year, I mean, remember where they were going last year in fantasy drafts. Last year, it was a very common thing to see Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews go at the 2-3 turn. So if you can now pull off that stack at the 5-6 turn when Lamar gets a ton of weapons added in, I mean, I think that is a fantastic selection. Okay, so now let's see where we are going to be going here. Trey Sermon at the 607. So we are up in 2 picks. Let me slide this over. Okay, so Dak Prescott goes to the 608. Papa Skoggs is on here. He has Kamara, Harris, McLaurin, Chase, Kyler Murray. Okay, so I think we're going to go with a wide receiver that's slightly lower than another guy that we have in our rankings, but okay, thank God we don't have to draft him. I thought we were going to draft Jerry Jeudy. I didn't necessarily want to draft Jerry Jeudy there. Let me see the tier fall off. Yeah, there's about to be, in my opinion, a massive tier fall off at running back. I don't necessarily think this is a good value for him, but a lot of these wide receivers are the same for me here, and I do want to be getting a running back. So we are going to be going with the Chase Edmonds. I know this is a reach, but Chase Edmonds is a running back that I really do like in fantasy this year to get him as our running back 3 here. I am going to like, and a big thing is I know we're reaching over ADP, but at the same time, there are about 5 wide receivers that I feel comfortable with at the beginning of the 7th round. So I think it just makes a little bit more sense to go out there and get a player like Chase Edmonds if we can just get another wide receiver in that same range a little bit later. And we don't necessarily think that we can get a running back in that same range if we pass on him going into the round. Okay, so Sutton, Michael Gallup. I mean, see, guys, those aren't even wide receivers that I was considering drafting there. Okay, guys, also, if you have not dropped a like on the live stream, make sure you go down there, drop a like. We're about to pass 250 likes on this live stream. And, guys, let me know what y'all think a realistic like goal is for us tonight where, I mean, usually if we hit 600 likes on a live stream, we'll do 4 drafts instead of 3. Let me know what y'all are thinking. Maybe we bump that down to about 500. We are in the middle of our second draft right now, so we are 100% going to be doing another draft tonight, but possibly we do 2 more, just mainly what y'all are thinking. Now, Deebo Samuel goes. This is exactly what we were talking about when I was going on a slight little rant about our 6'10 pick. We're now at the 703. I know that Herbert is appealing, but I think that we actually really want to be going with the receiver when we only have 2 guys. I know Herbert completes that stack, but a player that I was going to draft at the last round, but I decided to pass on because we knew that Edmonds was probably going to be that tier drop-off where wide receiver wasn't going to see it, was actually Laviska Shenault. So we are going to get Laviska here at the beginning of the 7th, and our team so far is going to be Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Keenan Allen, Miles Sanders, Travis Etienne, Chase Edmonds, and Laviska Shenault. So Mike Williams goes at the 704. I definitely prefer how Underdog has this 30-second timer. I think Underdog, they were geniuses for doing a 30-second timer. I mean, my first few drafts, it was really hard to adjust. So guys, if you're not used to a 30-second timer, I probably recommend doing a $3 draft at the very beginning. And I think that if you're a little reluctant, I mean, your first draft on Underdog, 100% should be a $3 draft no matter what. I mean, even if you've done a 30-second timer before, just to make sure that you can get that practice in. But yeah, I mean, the 30-second timer takes a little adjusting, but once you have the hang of it, I think that it's definitely ideal just because it kind of puts the pressure on. You have to understand what you're doing and you have to be ready to do it too. Okay, so Nick says, Mason, it's Saturday. We want 4. Let me see how many subscribers we've actually gotten on this channel. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we got a lot of people coming out, subscribing to the channel. So thank you all for coming out, subscribing. Yeah, we are getting a ton of people out here. So maybe we'll do 4 drafts. It's going to mainly just depend on the demand that we have for the drafts. I will say I woke up this morning and I was just so excited to get these going. It was like noon and I was just kind of itching for it. And we did a dynasty draft earlier this morning. And I don't know if it's because the time of year. I don't know if it's because I've just been having a lot of fun in these Underdog drafts. But I was really doing that. And I was like, a 90-second timer? What are we doing around here? But no, and now that we are in here getting that adrenaline rush going with the 30 seconds on the clock, this is significantly better. Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of wide receivers going after we take Laviska Shenault at the 703, which should be expected. I mean, we know that you're going to be seeing a lot of wide receivers in really all rounds 4 through 8. So Herbert falls all the way to the 802. So it would have been a pipe dream for us to get Justin Herbert back to us in the 8th round to complete that Keenan Allen stack. There's no way that was going to happen considering ADP. So yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a bummer to see Herbert going because we knew we weren't going to get him in the beginning, but obviously that would have been extremely nice. Okay, Spack says, I need to draft Antonio Gibson and J.K. Dobbins. High demand. My man, I know you want to get in here and you want to draft some J.K. Dobbins and Antonio Gibson. What's going to be really funny is when Antonio Gibson's like the running back 2 overall in fantasy and J.K. Dobbins is a top 5 guy. And then Spack is just out here printing money. Now, Aaron Rodgers going at 804. That one does hurt because Rodgers would have completed that stack with a Devontae Adams, and I thought there was a small chance that he made it back to us at the end of the 8th round. Jalen Waddle at the 805, McCole Hardman at the 806. Raheem Mostert at the 807. Okay, so let's get this pulled up real quick. Let's get ready to see where we're going to be going. So we have, Dallas Goedert looks like a screaming value here, but a big thing is, we have already drafted Darren Waller. So when we draft Waller, I understand. Maybe we take Goddard and we don't have to take another tight end the rest of the draft. We'll see. Okay, so Darnell Mooney goes to the 809. You know what? Y'all know who I want here, and I know if we pass on him, there's no way he makes it back to us. So we're going to get our guy, A.J. Dillon. We're going to get A.J. Dillon as our running back 4 here, someone that is a premium handcuff if anything were to occur to an Aaron Jones, and at the same time, we know that he does have some standalone value in what his goal line role can be. So we're going to take A.J. Dillon just to see Ronald Jones go directly after at the 811. So I know a lot of people probably prefer Rojo there. Personally, I just want to get as much A.J. Dillon as we can. There are a few things that I want this channel to be known for. I want it to be known for being way higher on Trey Lance than anybody else for a very long time, being way higher on A.J. Dillon than anybody else since Aaron Jones has signed there. And what else are we standing on? Oh, also that you should not be drafting Terry McLaurin over Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb, or Allen Robinson. Some people are starting to realize that as well. Some people are starting to realize they need to be moving Trey Lance up as well, so those takes don't necessarily look as bold as they once were. Now, Dallas Goedert going. I really do want to just take James Robinson, but when we already have ETN, it's a little less appealing. I think we should actually end up... We're not going QB. We can't go QB here. I think instead we probably get a Hollywood... if Hollywood... F it, we're going to get Hollywood Brown regardless. I understand Hollywood's injured, but I think as our wide receiver 4, looking for someone with spike week potential, that is going to make a lot of sense. So we're going to get Hollywood as our our wide receiver 4. I would have most likely taken James Robinson there if it wasn't for the fact that we already had Travis Etienne. So when we make that bet on Travis Etienne, I don't want to be kind of just hedging that bet with a James Robinson. So we're going to be going with Hollywood Brown at the 903. Hollywood Brown, also, we got him in that league we spent $1,000 on earlier this season. So we have a lot riding on Hollywood. Okay, so we got Devontae Parker, Rashad Bateman, Tom Brady. And we are kind of pushing the button a little bit here at quarterback. There are a few other teams that do not have a quarterback yet. So Clutch Cal does not have a QB. Lank Dog does not have a QB. We obviously don't. So there are 3 teams with no QB. So what we have to understand is if there's any quarterback that we think is interesting coming into the 10th round here, we are definitely going to have to take one, or Lank Dog can probably double up if he sees some value. So we have to understand that the team after us does not have a quarterback when we are drafting. Okay, so you have both Brady and Lance going. Obviously, we would have loved to see if Lance could have made it around for us. Okay, Matthew says, hey, Mason, just signed up and deposited $10 into Underdog. Where do I send the message to get your draft guide? Literally anywhere, man. Just send it to either Discord, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram. I check all of them very often. I'm going to be doing so for the next month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, probably forever. We're going to be checking them every hour or so. That way I can make sure we're sending out those draft guides in a timely manner. And if you just signed up with promo code FLOCK, send it right now. And I promise you, you're getting that draft guide tonight. After we in the live stream, I send about an hour going through and getting all those draft guides out for everybody. So yeah, definitely make sure you shoot me that DM on either Twitter, Instagram, Discord, or Patreon right now. And I'll send out a link in our fantasy football group chat right now. For our fantasy football group chat right now. If y'all are not in our group chat, guys, it is completely free. You don't need an email. You don't need a credit card or anything. Let me make sure I send this out for anybody who may not have an Instagram or a Twitter to DM me and get that draft guide. Okay, so let me type in free group chats. And we'll spam this in the chat right now for anybody wanting it. And if, guys, like I said, you don't need an email, you don't need a credit card, you don't need anything. You click the link, you create a nickname, and then you are in there. We just spam that in the chat. Okay, so now let's slide this down. Sorry about that, my dudes. Noah Fant going at the 1003 definitely looks like some solid value. Henry Ruggs has consistently been, sliding up these draft boards. He's been definitely moving up. Okay, Gus Edwards at the 10.06. I think when we get our A.J. Dillon share at the 8.10, we're not necessarily too worried about running back now. I mean, we have 4 running backs that I'm confident about. Okay, so let's switch this over here. And I am so dumb. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're 2 picks away. Gabriel Davis goes. We do need a quarterback. Like I said, Underdog does not have a QB. So I don't see any potential stack that we have here. So we're just going to be drafting our favorite QB. And given the news that we possibly have a Deshaun Watson going over to Philadelphia, I think that maybe that's enough for us to push Jalen Hurts down slightly. So we are going to be getting Joe Burrow here as our top quarterback option. So not a pick that I think is a smash by any means, but I think it's value. I think we needed our first quarterback. So if we're going to get him in the 10th, like we said, Underdog was most likely going to be going QB, maybe even back-to-back picks after us. So I wanted to make sure we at least get one here, dependent on what he does. Maybe we draft another coming in the 11th. Maybe we just go with another wide receiver, because obviously when we only have 4 wide receivers on this team, you know, I'm not going to be crying about drafting another one in the 11th round. Matthew says, you're the man, Mason. Thank you. Can't wait to draft against you. Bring it on. I won't take it easy. My man, I am excited to go up against you. Like, we are going to be doing so many of these drafts. I'm very excited to go up against you, my man. Okay, Trevor Lawrence at the 11.01. Okay, Scott says, how many drafts do you think you'll run tonight? My man, mainly going to depend on the amount of likes that we get on the live stream, because the amount of likes will tell me the amount of demand that we have for drafts. Now, Lawrence goes, do we just take Jalen Hurts? It's either Jalen Hurts or Rondale Moore. I think we probably go Hurts here. Obviously, Hurts is a faller with the news that we have about Deshaun Watson. But I think if people want to take that Watson news this seriously, you better be drafting Deshaun Watson way higher than he's currently going. And if he does get traded, I mean, obviously Jalen Hurts all of a sudden is going to be a starting quarterback still in Houston, and of course a much worse situation. But I think if we're getting him at the 11.03 with his rushing upside, the risk is kind of baked into the price for the upside he has. And I think Lawrence would have definitely been our preferred guy if we could have got Lawrence coming in to get that. You know what? I forgot that we had Travis Etienne on this team. I think Lawrence honestly was maybe the pick over Burrow. I knew that we had the stack with Laviska Shenault. I forgot that we had Etienne as well. It is going to be very hard to draft Trevor Lawrence over Joe Burrow, though. So maybe that's something we don't have to switch, but at least we can bring it up and say maybe that was a mistake. Kevin says, crush that like button or get the hell out. My man, thank you for the support. Michael says, Burrow over Tannehill. Am I crazy to like Burrow over Tannehill, my dudes? I mean, Burrow is significantly higher than Tannehill in ADP, so they're going to be definitely in the same tier for me. I think that it makes sense to get Burrow where we can, knowing that Tannehill will fall a little further in other drafts. And thank God we get our second quarterback here, because we have Matt Ryan going at the 11-10, so we wouldn't even have had an option for Matt Ryan in the 12th round. So yeah, we definitely needed to get our second guy there in Jalen Hurts. Can we slide this up so everybody can see? Okay. Mike Gesicki at the 11-12. This team is, honestly, our team is very, very strong. Let me go through and show for anybody who's just now joining the draft so far. So we ended up going Adams at the 103. I mean, a staple pick of ours. I'm going to own so much Devontae Adams everywhere, given what I think of his floor and his ceiling. Then Waller in the second. We're only going to have to draft one other tight end in this draft. Keenan Allen in the third. Sanders, Etienne, Chase Edmonds. I know there are some of these wide receivers that are slightly more appealing than Chase Edmonds, but a big thing is they're all in the same tier. So we can take Edmonds here. We can get whatever other wide receiver falls back to us. We get Shenault in the 7th, A.J. Dillon in the 8th, Hollywood Brown in the 9th. We go QB with Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. Now, let me know what y'all are thinking of this. I don't know the right call. And what I'm intrigued to figure out is, would it be more optimal to only draft 2 quarterbacks in this league once we invest a 10th and 11th round pick into them? Or are we going to have to go 3 quarterbacks in this format? I mean, when we have the extra roster spot from going with the Darren Waller and we're not stressing too much at running back, given our investment at the top of the draft, and we have Devontae Adams, it's a hard call. I mean, I think this is why best ball is so interesting, because it's not just about your player evaluation. Well, all that definitely makes a lot of sense. It's like a game on top of a game where you have to make sure that your roster construction is optimal based on the resources that you put into certain positions. And I don't know if a late 10th, early 11th is enough for QB, but we did get Burrow falling a little past his ADP. God, this game is like, it's like playing chess, to be honest. Does anybody, when they're in an underdog draft, feel like they're playing chess or something? I mean, I feel like we are, like, there's so many different levels of thinking that you're doing on it. Obviously, you're having to think about the player's price. You're having to think about their outlook for 2021. You're having to think about your entire roster up until that point. And you're also having to think about the rest of your draft room. That's why I feel like every time we do one of these drafts, I just get slightly better and slightly better. Okay, so now let's switch this over. Okay, so there's a player that I kind of hope falls to us. Okay, so Tua and David Johnson go. So we're going to make an easy selection here of Jalen Reagor. So Reagor, a wide receiver that I hated coming out of TCU, obviously has a horrendous rookie year. But we've already made a bet onto this Philadelphia Eagles offense where we took Sanders in the 4th. We took Jalen Hurts in the 11th. And if those picks are going to pay off, there's probably a better shot that Reagor in the 12th is a good value compared to another wide receiver in that range. So we are going to go with Jalen Reagor in the 12th at the top of ADP. Okay, so Justin says, it might be controversial, but I'd take Irv here, one of the Vikings wide receivers down, and he is basically the wide receiver too. I'll say that, I mean, Irv Smith, I could understand that logic if an Adam Thielen injury occurred because they actually will run areas in a similar range of the field where we also know Adam Thielen, a lot of his value is based on the red zone role that he has. Justin Jefferson, I mean, him going down, I don't think affects Irv Smith that much at all. I think it actually hurts the overall offense so much it may hurt Irv Smith. Now, I think that we take a tight end I don't like, but we've only drafted him in one draft before, and he is a screaming value according to ADP. We draft him here. We're done at tight end, so we are going to take Adam Troutman. Yeah, we take Adam Troutman as our second tight end there in the 13th round. Not going to be drafting Adam Troutman very often at all. I think that by value, Cole Kmet is a way better pick, but we really have to look at this and understand that, I mean, we're going to be doing 200 of these drafts. I can't just be missing out from Adam Troutman in 200 out of 200. There are going to be very few players that I have absolutely none of. So I don't like the value on Adam Troutman. He does go significantly further than what you're actually seeing in other drafts. So yeah, I think that Troutman at 1303, I would definitely prefer Evan Ingram, but it is kind of what it is. It's just one of those like eat your vegetables picks. Nick says Mason at Saturday. Let's get 5+ drafts in tonight. Smash the like button, people. My guys, last time I did 5 drafts, it was brutal. I mean, that last draft, I was trying not to go to sleep. I mean, it's already 10 p.m. where I'm at. How about this? Let's wait until after this draft. If we'll do 500 likes. Let me think of a realistic goal. Because the big thing is, like I said in another stream, don't be thinking that y'all like donating is going to get me to do another draft, because that makes me just think that one person wants me to do another draft, which of course I really appreciate and I'm thankful for. But I think what really matters is the amount of likes that we see on a live stream, because the amount of likes kind of shows that everybody in here is having fun and everybody wants to have another one. So let me know what y'all think a realistic goal for us is. Mike says, sorry, fellas, just joined. Is this the $500 draft? Guys, the $500 draft is tomorrow. We had to postpone because we actually had a new stream setup that you're seeing right now, and we needed to make sure that it was going to work because it crashed yesterday. So yeah, that draft is going to be tomorrow. We made the announcement on Twitter, on Patreon, on Discord, and Instagram last night. So please make sure you're hitting that sub button. Make sure you're hitting the bell next to the sub button. That way you are coming out to that draft. Now here we have FBG slamming in wide receivers here. Let's go and let's kind of recap his draft right now, because I'm kind of interested to see what it's been so far. So FBG goes Barkley, Gibson, Davis at running back. At wide receiver, he has Amari, Cooper Kupp, Antonio Brown, Elijah Moore, Marvin Jones, Rondell Moore, Nelson Aguilar, AJ Green, Brashad Perriman. So a lot of guys seeing targets. Has Herbert and Andrews at quarterback and tight end. Okay, we are on the clock already. Okay, that is concerning. Let's get this up here. So we have 5 wide receivers. We have 2 tight ends. I think if we just take... I like Paris Campbell, but the problem is the overall offense kind of imploding. We're going to go Paris Campbell here, and I'm going to recap something that we made a mistake with after our next pick. Because we made a mistake in the last round. Because if we go through and we look at this, would I prefer the combination of, in this format, Sterling Shepard and Cole Kmet, or would I rather have Adam Troutman and Paris Campbell? I think in this format, given the injury to Carson Wentz, we actually prefer the Cole Kmet pick because Cole Kmet and Adam Troutman are actually a lot similar to me. I understand that a lot of people aren't going to agree with that, and that's why we actually took Troutman in the 13th, because understanding that we're going to do 200 of these drafts, I kind of have to be drafting Adam Troutman somewhere, and we thought that was far enough based on his ADP, where usually he goes way before that. But I really hate where that Troutman pick left us at receiver when we kind of are already set at tight end. I think we'd rather wait on a Kmet. We'd rather wait on an Austin Hooper. Okay, so Pac-Man says, my drafts are usually 2,800. Is that pretty good? What are yours? So you can see mine at the end of these. So we actually did a lot of Mahomes teams yesterday. The Mahomes teams weren't projecting that well. I don't know if we were messing them up, but let me make sure we get this pick in. Crowder, I'm not picking at all in this format. I can't take Kmet. This sucks. I think given the buzz about Marquez Callaway, did we take Callaway here? We're going to take Marquez Callaway as our 7th wide receiver. He's had a lot of buzz that apparently is the best wide receiver in New Orleans right now, and I don't think that we use that to judge everything off of. I don't think we significantly adjusted our rankings based on it, but I think we at least have to slightly take it into consideration. If we're getting him 4 rounds after Traquan Smith, I'm going to be fine with that. We wanted another wide receiver, so yeah, we're going to get Marquez Callaway there. Okay, so back to the projections on Underdog. That's why I was mainly asking y'all what the highest projected team y'all have had is, because I'm unsure of how accurate their projection system actually is. Now, of course, we have to take into account that I think it's going to be at least a solid baseline, given the fact that they do have just the algorithm working in, understanding how the best ball format is going to look at it. So my goal with all my drafts is to hit 3,000. I found that like when we were taking Mahomes and we weren't only taking 2 QBs, usually it's hard to get to that number, even though I don't understand why that would be the case. I would assume that's a little more optimal to draft 2 QBs when you draft Mahomes. So I would say you definitely want to be shooting for a 3,000 projection. I know it sounds like it's just a simple number, but honestly, a 3,000 projection kind of seems like it should be in line. Okay, so Cole Kmet, Xavier Jones, Tyrell Williams, Giovanni Bernard. Yeah, Kmet at the 1509 is fantastic. Okay, we have a couple donations coming out. We have Mike saying, hey, Mason, can you check my team at the 110? Yes, sir. Let me go through. Matt saying that. Let me check the 110 real quick. Then we'll get to Mike's question. Let me hide this. Let's go up to the 110. Okay, the 110, Chubb in the first. My man, I cannot get behind Nick Chubb over Barkley, over Eckler, over Gibson. Honestly, there are a handful of running backs there that I'd prefer over Nick Chubb. I'd also prefer Diggs and Ridley over him. You do get Ridley in the second that I really like. Carson in the third I like. Julio in the fourth. Lamar in the fifth. I wonder if you were setting up the Mark Andrews stack in the sixth. Really let me know on that one. Kareem Hunt in the sixth I like. I like Samuel, Jarvis, Gage, Noah Fant. I love that value. Matt Ryan, I think that what I would have potentially done is honestly kind of wait, considering that you actually had 2 teams here with a Justin Herbert and a Matthew Stafford. So I think you could have waited and actually gotten Matt Ryan in the 12th instead of having to spend the late 11th on him. I know you were going for that Calvin Ridley stack, but if you just paid attention to these teams on the end, I think they were a lot less likely to take a quarterback than they would have been to those other positions. So maybe you could have gotten, instead of a Devin Singletary there, maybe you could have gotten a Jamal Williams and then get Matt Ryan in the 12th. Randall Cobb, Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst also is way too early for me here. I understand the thought process that Atlanta is going to be running a lot of 2 tight end sets. You have Matt Ryan, you have Calvin Ridley, but still you have to at least be a little aware of ADP, understanding that if you want to be targeting Hayden Hurst, you're 100% going to have a shot to get him in the 15th, 16th, considering the fact that you have Gronk, Cole Kmet, Austin Hooper still on the board. So yeah, there are a few picks that I like. Of course, guys, whenever I go through and I look at your teams, understand that, of course, I'm going to be very mean about it. I'm just going to focus in on what I don't like, because I think talking about what we don't like and what we would fix, while I'm wrong a lot of times, it's really going to be the only valuable thing that we can do, because if I don't just talk about what I would do instead, I mean, at that point, we're not really talking about anything. Okay. So now we are on the clock. Do we just take a third quarterback here? I think we go with third QB. I think we're going to go Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has more rushing upside than what you actually have with the Ben Roethlisberger. Sam Darnold has a little bit of sneaky rushing upside. So, yeah, we're going to get Darnold. We have 2 more picks. We're done at tight end. I think we need another running back, but the problem was RB in this range. I don't necessarily know who we would want to get at wide receiver. We're going to get 1 more running back and 1 more receiver. Now, receiver, we need another receiver. We have some studs in Adams and Keenan Allen, Chenault, Hollywood, Rager, Campbell, Callaway. So, yeah, these 2 guys down here are really doing nothing for us. This was probably a team where we shouldn't have taken a third quarterback. We probably messed up this draft by taking a third QB. So let's bring this up. If the reports we knew were 100% true about Byron Pringle being the 3rd wide receiver in Kansas City, he would be the pick here. Instead, I think we potentially go with the Nico Collins. I mean, Nico Collins, he outproduced Donovan Peoples-Jones at a younger age. We're going to get Nico Collins there. I don't love it, but it is what it is. Now, let me pull up the draft board real quick, and let me see. Actually, let's switch this to no cam. And let me see what Mike says. TW DM feedback core squad question. Okay, so I'm assuming that means Twitter DM. I mean, I will pull that up real quick, but guys, I'm not going to pull that up on the stream. I'll pull that up on my phone as we are looking at this. Okay, so we're looking for Mike on Twitter right now. Mike, in the live, you do not have to donate to let me know this, but please spam in the chat. Let me know your name on Twitter so I can actually go through and I can find this for you ASAP. Okay, yeah, Mike, please let me know your name on Twitter so I can find you and answer that question. Spencer, thank you for the donation, my man. I'll get to that in 1 second. Let me figure this out for Mike, though. Okay, so now we have McKinnon, Devontae Booker. Okay, so some people want to see the top of the draft. Let me go up, show the top of the draft really quick. Okay, so we actually drafted from the 103 right here. If you want to pause it, see what we did, y'all can make fun of our picks. Okay, Mike says, not now for DM feedback, but as a follow-up later. Yes, sir. Shoot me that DM right now, and I'll go through, and I'm going to be checking out all those Twitter DMs so I can get those draft guides out after the stream. Okay, Cloudsy says, when's the next draft? In about 5 minutes, we are going to have another draft underway. We're going to end this one as soon as we get to the end of the 18th round, and we're going to be probably we'll get a $50 draft going after this, and then we'll get a $5 draft depending on how many people stay through that third one and where we are standing in terms of just how many people are enjoying the stream. Okay. So now let's check out the 105 real quick for spin. Let's go through Henry. I'm fine with once you see Kamara, Adams go off the board. Taylor, I like at the 208. Swift, I like at the okay. I'll say Kyle Pitts. I just don't know if I can get behind. I think Kyle Pitts here, let me say it frankly, I think Kyle Pitts is a horrendous selection at the 408 because I personally prefer both TJ Hawkinson and Andrews over Pitts. And even if you like Pitts more than them, I think you can safely say they are in the same tier. So would you prefer having the combination of Jamar Chase and TJ Hawkinson or Kyle Pitts and Robbie Anderson? I mean, I think every single day of the week, you take the combination of Jamar Chase and TJ Hawkinson. So yeah, I don't necessarily, I mean, I can go as far as saying I hate that Kyle Pitts pick, especially because you missed out on that wide receiver value that left with the T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. And then after that, you have Dak, like getting Dak there at value, Juju, Michael Thomas, then James Robinson, Gabriel Davis, Traquan Smith. I hope you didn't take another running back. Okay, so you didn't take another running back on this team. Instead, you went through and you got some wide receivers. Okay, so I definitely like how you ended that draft. Really, the only pick that I have a problem with is what that selection of Kyle Pitts ended up doing to you. And of course, I think that's going to be something that kind of haunts you in this draft. But beyond that, I like it. Okay, so now we are going to be taking a 5th running back to end this draft. We also have Darren Waller and Adam Troutman down there that I know you can't see on the stream. Okay, so let's pull up the running back position. Van Jefferson goes. Denzel Mims also goes in this draft, which is intriguing. I really can't get behind Denzel Mims. Now, Tevin Coleman goes. Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. I really don't want to be taking on the same team that we ended up taking in Miles Sanders. Quadri Allison is sounding like he's actually going to be the running back 2 in Atlanta, and we can't necessarily be fading. We can't be fading Mike Davis and all of a sudden just say that Quadri Allison is useless. So if he's going to be second in Atlanta, might as well just go get Allison at least on one team. It's the last round. Let me do a no-cam view. That way everybody can get a view of the draft board real quick. You can pause it, screenshot it, whatever you want to do. And yeah, let me get us set up here with a $50 draft after this. This is going to get sent in the live chat. I'm just going to label it $50 draft so you know that you're joining a private draft. You know exactly what button to click. Okay, so let's go through. Let's get this going. Like I said, guys, these are all private leagues, so do not be do not be joining leagues that are just in the lobby. Do not be doing that. Let's create a private draft. Okay, I'm assuming that this is going to fill up a little slower, and I'll say that I know that $500 league, if you want to be in the $500 league with me tomorrow, that is going to fill up really slow. That's going to be very, very slow, where you should definitely have the time to get in. Okay, so we're sending this out, my dudes. And possibly we can do a $5 draft after this one tonight. Okay, so we just set that up. Let's switch this over and see how fast this fills. Oh, yeah, so you see this is going slower. So if you want in a $50 draft, you can definitely get in a $50 draft. We may end up having to send this out on Discord, may end up having to send it out on YouTube at the same time. Okay, I guess it just popped up, filled very fast. We still got 3 spots open right now. Okay, 2 more spots open. Let's see. Who's hopping in here with us? Who's hopping in? Playboy Drew says, it's not verifying my identity. Shake my head. My man, just shoot a message to customer support and just let them know, hey, I'm trying to use promo code FLOCK. This is who I am, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure they're going to be very, very happy to help you out. And guys, we got 1 more spot to be filled, so it's going to be filled in 1 second. So what I need from y'all, if you have yet to do this, hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Send us all the positive energy. This is the $50 draft. I'm fine getting the crap draft spots in the $5 leagues, but now that we have a filled $50 draft, give us the 101. Give us Christian McCaffrey. We get the 210. I'm sorry, we get the 110. Oh my God. It is what it is. Nick says he got in. Let me know, guys, who else is out here? Let me know who else is out here. Austin said he got a team last draft that cracked 3,000 with only 2 quarterbacks. Okay, that is badass, my man. Yes, guys, this is a $50 league. Party till she's hot says, get the 1, Mason. My man, Anik Patel says he got the 103. He's hyped, my man. That's going to be Uncle Drew. Okay, I'm excited to see what you do from this spot. I'm excited, my man. But, oh, that is brutal, getting the 110 again. I mean, I'm fine with the 102. Can we at least get the 102? Can I at least get Dalvin Cook? Can you at least help me out with that? Nick says, I'm representing Canada at the 102. Okay, so we got Nick at the 102. We got Patel at the 103. We have Jayan at the 104. We have some we have some new people in this draft as well. We have Young's Tees. I don't think we've seen him before. We have Cheesy Cheddar. I don't think we've seen him before either. Who else? Let's Go Blue was in the last draft. The Best Around, I think that's a new name. Some Panda, I think he was in a draft 3 nights ago. Tallyho, I think Tallyho may be new as well. Okay, so CMC, Dalvin Cook at the 101, 102. Kamara at the 103. Oh shoot, let me switch this over so we have a much better. Actually, I guess we can stay with this at the beginning. The way y'all can see the top as well with the things scrolling by. Let me know what y'all prefer seeing. Okay, so Patel does go Alvin Kamara at the 103. Devontae Adams at the 104. Okay, so Michael says, who would you take at the 106, Mason? Okay, so at the 106 in this draft, I most likely, actually, I don't want to say it because I probably want him to fall here. I'm going to keep my mouth shut unless he gets drafted. Because there's a real chance that he does get drafted. I'm sorry, that he does fall to us. Okay, so Ezekiel Elliott goes. I'm not going to say anything until we pick. I'm not saying any of my thoughts on who I would have taken at the 106 until we are on the clock. Now, Jayan is up here. Let's see where he decides to go. Okay, so you got Kelsey, Hill, Diggs, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, all available. He goes Tyreek Hill at the 107. Now, Let's Go Blue 2 is on the clock. He goes Saquon Barkley. Okay, Barkley honestly probably would have been our pick at the 110. Now the best around on the clock at the 109. Oh my God. I was wanting Travis Kelce so badly. Oh, Travis Kelce is who I'd have picked at the 106. I thought we were really about to get Travis Kelce. That's a fantastic pick. Oh my God. It takes me down to the wire too. I really thought we were getting Kelce. We're going to take Aaron Jones there. Aaron Jones actually is going to be my 109 currently when we have Aaron Rodgers committing to stay in Green Bay. Yeah, so we're going to go Aaron Jones at the 110. But, oh my God, I really wanted Travis Kelce there. I wanted Kelce. Okay, Jayan called it in the chat. He goes, Aaron Jones is who Mason's going with. GP Pats says, yeah. Jayan called it. If we were going Jones, I didn't want to go Jones. Jones was definitely my backup plan to Travis Kelce. Yeah, I mean, Kelce is in his own tier, given the fact that you take him, you don't have to draft another tight end to like the Austin Hooper range, and you can really soak up value in between. Matthew says he's sorry for taking Travis Kelce at the 109. My man Matthew, I can already tell I'm not gonna enjoy drafting with you this draft. I'll tell you that. Okay. So Eckler at the 111, Diggs at the 112. Okay, so I think a very common turn pick that we're seeing in almost every draft now is that combination of Stephon Diggs and Calvin Ridley. I guess now after we go with an Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb goes. So I think we get another running back here. I think we go with Antonio Gibson. I really like doubling up running backs at the end. I really like going Jones Gibson. And I will say, if you're playing in a traditional league where you submit a starting lineup each and every week, at the 106, I'm not taking Travis Kelce there. Travis Kelce is mainly going to be a best ball pick for me at the 106, given what he does for you in a roster construction standpoint. At the 106, instead, in a traditional format, there I'm actually going to be either considering either Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley. Nevin says, why does no one like Austin Eckler? I actually recently drafted Eckler, I believe, at the 111 in the first draft tonight. And then I think we followed that up with Antonio Gibson. So this one's a little bit of a different build. Aaron Jones, Gibson, I definitely prefer Aaron Jones over Austin Eckler, though. So now we have DeAndre Hopkins, DK Metcalf in the middle of the second. Ethan says, Mason, what is different about how you draft in best ball compared to redraft as in strategy? So in redraft, I'm more so just worried about the value that I'm getting of the players, where that definitely matters a lot in best ball, which I think you can definitely become a much better redraft player by using best ball to your advantage. But in the back of your mind, in best ball, you also really have to be considering your roster construction. So that's going to be a big thing. Like you've seen me in a redraft league before where we have access to the waiver wire, like in my $500 draft, where I go, okay, I just want value. I'm going to be taking 9 wide receivers in a row. I'm not going to necessarily care about running back here. Whereas in best ball, you can't do that because if you take 9 of one position in a row, you don't have the waiver wire to be able to go through and then all of a sudden just pick up hot waiver wire pickups at the position of need. So that's going to be the main difference is we still want to be drafting with value in mind. We still want to be going through and being flexible with who we're targeting. But at the same time, we definitely want to make sure that we are having it in the back of our mind that roster construction matters a lot more. Okay, so we have Hopkins, Metcalf going. Let me know what y'all think of Metcalf. Like, is he really in just a tier ahead of Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen? Because that's what we've been kind of seeing in these drafts as of late. I may have to move Metcalf up the rankings because I think where we currently have Metcalf, you would never have a shot to actually draft him. Okay, so Darren Waller goes at the 209. So let's pull this draft board up here. Okay, so you got Brown, Najee Harris, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, George Kittle. So this is what's great about picking. You could make an argument realistically that the picks here at the 2-3 turn are almost as good as the picks at the 1-2 turn. And that is why getting those early picks are just so much better than late round 1 picks this year. Now, of course, it's not the same every single year, but with how draft boards are breaking this year, I mean, getting the 101, the 102 is literally just light years better than getting a pick at the end of the draft. It's not even remotely close. Okay, so let's see what the CMC team decides. We got Jay Elder out here again. Jay Elder was in our Patreon Dynasty startup earlier today. My man, I'm happy to have you out here. Okay, he goes Harris. So he gets CMC and Najee Harris falling to him at the 212. Okay, so now let's see what Party Till She Saw. It says Mixon and Taylor before Waller. That's gross to me. I think that, yes, Waller does provide you a better edge in best ball, but at the same time, I think I would honestly probably go with Mixon. A big thing is also I've seen Kittle a lot of times fall to this 305, 306, and the running backs that are going to be there are really just going to be DeAndre Swift. So if you think there's a chance that Kittle falls to you there, would you rather take Jonathan Taylor and hope Kittle falls and then have Taylor and Kittle versus having Waller and Swift? I actually really think that I prefer both Mixon and Taylor over Darren Waller, honestly. Ricky says, Najee Harris at the 210 is amazing. My man, Najee Harris doesn't even make it to the 210. Najee Harris goes at the 212. Okay, so Keenan Allen at the 303. Now, what I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for Hard Knocks to just knock CeeDee Lamb up in a clear tier of his own over these wide receivers. Because I think that, honestly, I'm not saying it should happen, but I think realistically, after Hard Knocks gets the CeeDee Lamb hype really at its peak, you could see CeeDee Lamb consistently as a pick that doesn't get out of the second round. I think he could be going next to Waller in a lot of drafts. Okay, so now let's switch this over real quick. Okay, we're going to be up in 4 picks. So Jayan is in this draft. Forgot that Jayan was in this draft. So if we want Devin Duvernay, we're going to have to be drafting Devin Duvernay probably in the 3rd round. Okay, so Chip Brooks on the clock. He goes Amari Cooper. Okay, that's a little earlier than we've seen Amari Cooper go in other drafts. So who did Jayan take in the 1st and 2nd? Jayan went CEH, Tyreek Hill. So I'm assuming he goes Mahomes here. He goes Allen Robinson. Interesting. Hey, Jayan, maybe Mahomes following me in the 4th. I know I don't got a stack, but I don't know if I can let you get that trifecta going. I don't know if we can let that happen. Okay, so the best around up here who went Hopkins, Kelsey to start the draft off. Let's see where he takes it at the 309. Possibly he goes Dobbins to get his first running back. Okay, so Montgomery goes. So we had the team at the 1-2 turn, double up on receiver. So I think that we can't really let him. I think we go Dobbins. I think we get Dobbins as our 3rd running back. We start at Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, and J.K. Dobbins. I hope SPAC is in the chat right now. If SPAC is in the chat, guys, if y'all don't know, we have someone out here that's a regular in the live stream that drafts Antonio Gibson and J.K. Dobbins in the 1st and 2nd round every single time. So I wonder how he's feeling right now that I get that same exact start. The only difference is I add on Aaron Jones on top of it. So interesting. Jayan says, I will never take a quarterback before I have my running back and wide receiver positions. Probably a smart call, my man. Probably a smart call. So Evans goes at the 311. Okay, so I'm assuming that Taylor is going to get a running back here. Steven says $5 draft is next. Yes, guys, we'll do a $5 draft. How about this? If we hit 500 likes in this live stream I'm looking at it right now has gotten a total of 3,000 views. If we hit 500 likes in the live stream, we'll do another draft after this, and we will do a $5 draft. Okay, so Carson at the 312. So I'm assuming we're just going running back here in the 4th. We're going wide receiver in the 4th. We don't have an option at running back. Our best running back available would actually end up being, believe, Miles Sanders, and I don't think we can take Miles Sanders over these receivers. Maybe if we really want to push the envelope at running back, but when we're getting Sanders later than that, because there are 2 wide receivers that I'm fine with taking here. So Julio goes at the 401. Okay, so Godwin goes. Okay, Godwin actually probably was going to be one of my picks. Do we go Kupp? Kupp has been rising a ton. I guess we go Cup because we like that offense a little bit more than what we like in Carolina, even though I like DJ Moore as a player, and also with Cooper Kupp, he's a higher ADP. So when we're doing 200 of these drafts, if we think that both DJ Moore and Cooper Kupp should be going right next to each other, we kind of just have to be taking the guy that's higher in ADP when they're both available so we can at least diversify a little bit. So yeah, we're going to be going with Cooper Kupp there at the 403. And like I said, guys, if we hit 500 likes on the live stream, we'll be doing another draft after this one. We'll be doing a $5 draft after this one. Mahomes goes at the 404 to take that stack away from JN. But, I mean, Mahomes gets that stack with Travis Kelce at the 109. Definitely think that's the most optimal pick for that roster construction. So Sanders goes at the 406. Okay, so I really think that Sanders is good value there. I mean, obviously, when he was going over wide receivers like A-Rob, Amari Cooper, Robert Woods, that was an overrated player. But now that he's falling a lot further, I think that you can look at that price and understand that the opportunity cost is now so much smaller than what it once was that you kind of have to reevaluate your stance on him. Party Till She's Hot says, wow, the best around still got his stack. Yeah, the best around made a very interesting call here. I mean, let me know what y'all think. Can y'all draft David Montgomery over J.K. Dobbins? Like, what do y'all think about that draft pick? This is a $50 draft, by the way, as well. This is some real money on the line here. Lamar Jackson goes all the way up at the 408 to the young Stees, only 4 picks behind Mahomes. I think that's the closest we've actually seen the two quarterbacks get drafted together in 2021. Ivan says Dobbins or Chris Carson. My man, you saw me take J.K. Dobbins over Chris Carson in this draft. That should give you your answer on who I prefer between J.K. Dobbins and Chris Carson. And also, guys, if y'all are wondering how you can get an answer to like really any player evaluation question, like in terms of what I think about them on an in-depth basis, what I think about them with overall rankings, I got a great announcement for anybody in here that has not heard it 100 times by now. Guys, if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, a couple weird things happen that I didn't expect to happen, but whatever, they did. I mean, if you deposit $10 with promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, the best place to become a better fantasy football drafter in 2021. Literally, you can go a million different ways and talking about why they are such a good platform to make you a better drafter. You deposit $10 on there to get into some fantasy drafts. You're going to get a $25 deposit bonus with promo code FLOCK. And you also get our 2021 fantasy football draft guide. You get our 2021 Dynasty rookie draft guide, and you get our 2021 player rankings. Guys, you have hundreds of pages of draft guides. You get paid $25 to deposit $10 with promo code FLOCK. There's no reason you do not take advantage of this and support the channel. Make sure you are going down there and doing so. Okay. So now we have Dak Prescott at the 501. We have some QBs rising up this draft board. Okay, that's very intriguing. I guess you do get the stack with CeeDee Lamb, and you wouldn't have had the option to take a Dak Prescott in the 7th. I don't know. I think that maybe that's still a reach. I think what wide receivers were available? Okay, so you had Higgins available. I think you have to go Higgins over. I understand you want to get that stack with CeeDee Lamb, but I still think if you start CMC, Najee Harris, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Adam Thielen, that is a fantastic start. I would have loved to see that get pulled off. Salvador says, I did it. How do we get our draft guides? Email, yes, sir. So go through and shoot me a DM on either Patreon, Discord, Twitter, or Instagram. We have all that information down there in the description of the video on how you get that draft guide. Literally, all you have to do is shoot me a DM, and I check those DMs every hour. I'm going to be doing it especially right after this live stream. I'm going to be spending an hour just sending out all those DMs to anybody who has shot me one. I'm going to be getting you your email with those draft guides and those rankings. All you have to do is say, hey, Mason, I used promo code FLOCK, deposited $10. Here's my email address so you can confirm that I did it. Please make sure you give me your email that you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with, and you'll get them like that. Very, very simple. You can ask anybody in the chat. I mean, how many people we have in the chat right now? We have 370 people in the chat. I can guarantee you maybe half of them have gotten that draft guide through that way. So you just ask them. Very standard. Okay. So now we are going to be up on the clock. We have 3 running backs on this team. We have Cooper Kupp as well. So the 5'10", okay, so the best around has Mahomes, Montgomery, Hopkins, Kelce. So he can really go anywhere he wants. Okay, Kyle Pitts goes to the 508. Of course, we like seeing that. So Deontay Johnson goes. Deontay Johnson probably would have been my pick there. So I think we slide down a little bit. Kyler Murray, I can't consider in the 5th, given the fact that we did not get DeAndre Hopkins. If we took Hopkins in the 2nd, then I'd be drafting Kyler Murray right here. But this is not the build that we want to be drafting him with. So I think what we actually do instead is we get a tight end that we can confidently only have to roster 2 tight ends on this build with now. So we're going to be getting TJ Hawkinson as our next guy. So let me know what y'all think about the Hawkinson pick at the 5'10". There are a couple wide receivers that are in the same range for me, so I didn't necessarily feel the need to go out there and try to reach for a wide receiver when I probably would have preferred Hawkinson over them straight up anyway. Okay, so let's go through. LL says, are today's drafts free entry? No, the draft we are doing right now is a $50 draft. And if we get 500 likes on the live stream, the draft we'll be doing after this one is going to be a $5 draft. I don't necessarily think we'll do another draft if we don't hit that 500 like mark. But yeah, I will say that it is a free draft, considering the fact that for a $5 league, if you go through and you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you do some quick little math, they're giving you $25 to do so. You're getting that $25 bonus. So you can play in 5 $5 leagues for completely free. Okay, so now we are about to be back up on the clock here after going Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Cooper Kupp, T.J. Hawkinson. So Kareem Hunt goes to the 601. I definitely do not like seeing Kareem Hunt go. Okay, let's see where some panda decides to go. He goes Robbie Anderson. So I think now I know it looks like a reach, but we're going to go Javonte Williams. And I think now we actually have the option with Javonte Williams where possibly we don't have to draft another running back this entire draft, where we have Jones, Gibson, Dobbins, Javonte, Cooper Kupp as our lone wide receiver, TJ Hawkinson as our lone tight end. So we're going to be hammering in so many wide receivers in this draft. Okay, now let's go through. Jacob says, like, everybody is on a week 7 bye. I understand, guys. Week 7 is the brutal week this year. Now, if you pull up my team, of course, I'm a professional. Let me go and show y'all this. So we don't have a single player on a week 7 bye. So I'll get that humble brag in there. But, of course, guys, y'all know that we messed up a team so bad the other night where, I mean, we drafted, like, how many players did we draft that were on a week 7 bye? It was like, we drafted like 4 running backs, and every single one of them, they were off week 7. Okay, so we have someone saying Gaskin went very early. Actually, I think Myles Gaskin went at the 5-6 turn in our last draft at the same time. Yeah, so DJ Chark goes at the 606. I really do like that DJ Chark value. Odell was a really good value based on his ADP. I mean, with Odell, mainly just that wide receiver that you know that has that spike week potential. Okay, Kiona says, sorry, my man, I know you like Kareem Hunt. Yeah, Kareem Hunt, he would have been someone that we wanted to draft. I mean, if he would have fallen to us in the 6th round, I think we probably would have taken Hunt over Javonte Williams. And I think, let me know what y'all think. I think that we're probably done drafting running back here. I think we can get away with just going wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. And also, since we pass on the elite quarterback options, I actually think that we do end up having to draft 3 QBs. So I think this is going to be a structure where we go 3 QBs, 4 running backs, 2 tight ends. We do some quick math. We're going to have 9 spots for the wide receiver position, unless we decide to grab, I mean, if we have a Jamal Williams falling to us to a range where I don't think it's acceptable that he's falling that far, then maybe we draft the 5th running back, knowing that they can slide into our flex spot as well. But I think right now we plan on getting 9 wide receivers on this build. Okay, so Derek says, draft guide, question mark. My man, please clarify. Okay, so Derek says, who made the draft guide I heard about on here earlier? Okay, I made the draft guide that you heard about on here, my man, if that's what you're asking. I don't think, I mean, y'all think I'm pumping out the Fantasy Flock draft guide. I'm asking John down the street. I'm like, hey, man, can you please write a draft guide for me? I'll pay you $100. I need 500 pages on my desk by Monday. You think that's what I'm doing? No, I wrote the draft guide. Okay, so Sutton at the 6'10". Cousins at the 6'11". My God. That has to be some kind of, maybe you put him in the queue. This is a $50 league as well. Okay, so no, you know what happened here? So look, Toronto, they have Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson. So I guarantee you what happened is they ended up putting Kirk Cousins in the queue, going, hey, they're telling themselves, I need to draft Kirk Cousins later on. He's going to be one of my targets in this draft. And then maybe they had to step away from the draft for a second, and then they ended up auto-drafting Kirk Cousins. That is crazy. That is, hey, it's good for us. I'll say it's good for us. Maybe we get a quarterback that we like falling to us now. Okay, Steven says, is Zeke at the 104 in a traditional league reasonable over Henry? No, Zeke at the 104 is not reasonable at all. Not because you're taking him over Derrick Henry, instead because you're taking him over either one of Devontae Adams or Alvin Kamara, which I cannot be doing. If you want to take Ezekiel Elliott over Derrick Henry, I'm completely fine with it. But I'm not fine with you taking him over Kamara or Devontae Adams. Now, I will say, if Taysom Hill's announced the starter for New Orleans, then we're having to drop Alvin Kamara down. And at that point, I won't argue with anybody wanting to rank out Ezekiel Elliott over him. But for now, when there is that chance that you have Jameis Winston starting, I actually do prefer instead having Alvin Kamara over Zeke. Mike Davis going at the 704. Now, Mike Davis, this is a good pick in my opinion. Now, if we had Mike Davis falling to us a little bit further, we probably would have taken him. Now, with Davis, I think that when he's going in the 5th, when he's going ahead of Josh Jacobs, he's a very overrated player. But if you're getting him at the 704, I definitely like that. Okay, so come on. We want some running. Let's see the best players available on the board right now. Okay, so the thing is, could we potentially take Edmonds if we wanted? So if we took Edmonds, that would have to change our construction to where we're rostering 8 wide receivers instead of 9. And I'm trying to figure out if we can get away with that. Edmonds has a week, because the big thing is when we start like this, we know that we're only going to be going through and starting 8 wide receivers on a week-to-week basis. And obviously those are going to be players that pop up into the starting lineup given the best ball format. So we don't have to decide who those are beforehand. They're just going to eventually make their way in. Okay, Chase Edmonds goes anyway, so we don't have to think about it. I was just thinking that we could get a running back going in our flex spot, essentially penciling one in every single week there and going, okay, we only need 3 wide receivers instead of 4. So now I think given the fact that this is a best ball format, we're looking for spike weeks. We're actually going to go with a Michael Gallup here at the 710. Now I'll say if you're playing in a traditional league where you're actually going to have a playoff stretch really mattering for you, in that instance, I actually want to be going with a Michael Thomas. But given the fact that in a best ball league like this, points in week 1 are just as valuable as points in week 15. There instead, I actually think we prefer going with a Michael Gallup. And Antonio Brown would have been interesting. I see some people in the chat saying that AB would have been possibly their pick. But I think that here Gallup is obviously the next best once Antonio Brown goes off the board. And honestly, I may even consider Michael Gallup over Antonio Brown. Okay, so Steven says, Kamara will not be available. He will go at 3, so Adams over Zeke. I prefer Devontae Adams over Ezekiel Elliott. Deadpool's coming out. Thank you, my man. Says, hey, man, which side do you prefer? PPR Dynasty, 12-team Superflex League, Mixon and DJ Moore, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Brandon Ayuk? Okay, so guys, keep in mind, this is Dynasty Fantasy Football. This is a little bit of a different question here. And if we're looking at this, okay, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, is just a full tier ahead of anybody in the deal. I actually think we prefer going with CEH and Brandon Ayuk, given the fact that Mixon has guaranteed money on this year of his contract, not much beyond that. Love DJ Moore. I have him in a clear tier ahead of Brandon Ayuk. But I think the difference between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Joe Mixon is going to be slightly larger for me. I mean, I'm just very high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Dynasty. Okay, so at the 803, we're 1 pick away. Tom Brady goes, yeah, I know we need a quarterback here. We have 0 QBs, but I still don't think that we can consider one in this range. So instead we go Curtis Samuel. Yeah, I think we're going to go Curtis Samuel as our wide receiver 3. Okay, we have SPAC in the chat. SPAC, my man, I have to show off something to you. Look at my 2nd and 3rd round picks here. We get Gibson in the 2nd and J.K. Dobbins in the 3rd. My man, understand that when you're in these leagues, I know that you love Antonio Gibson and J.K. Dobbins, but possibly they fall this far for you. You never know. Possibly they fall this far. Okay, so Raheem Mostert at the 804. Okay. I'm sorry, not Madison at the 804. Raheem Mostert at the 804. So I think that when we're passing on like a guy, say when we took Javonte Williams at the 603, we're passing on Odell Beckham Jr. for Javonte Williams. I think that we prefer the combination of Javonte Williams and Curtis Samuel over Odell Beckham Jr. and Raheem Mostert. Now, honestly, I don't think that's too crazy to say either. I actually really like our decision to get our running back 4 and Javonte Williams there. Okay, Hardman at the 806. We were taking a Hardman in a lot drafts last night. I mean, the main reason we were taking a lot of Hardman, though, is because we were drafting a lot of Patrick Mahomes. So, of course, we do have to make that small adjustment. Okay, Bateman at the 808. Let me see if I can raise my chair slightly. Okay, yeah, we can. That's a lot better now. Jayan says he gets the Hardman-Hill combo. My man, I think that a lot of the upside that Hardman has is what would happen if Tyreek Hill goes down. Realistically, guys, please let me know in the live chat right now. If you had Tyreek Hill go down, where would Mecole Hardman be drafted? Realistically. Like, if Tyreek Hill goes down, do you want Mecole Hardman or do you want Chase Claypool? And I know that's the craziest question ever. I know a lot of people in here are going to be telling me how dumb I am and how obviously you want Chase Claypool. But at the same time, where are you are you then drafting Mahomes after Lamar, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray in fantasy? Because the yards have to go somewhere. They can't all go to Travis Kelce. So if Tyreek Hill went down, where are you drafting? Where are you drafting Mecole Hardman? Answer, Mecole Hardman or Chase Claypool? Mecole Hardman or Jerry Jeudy? Okay, so A.J. Dillon at the 8-11, James Robinson at the 8-10. We definitely are wanting to have those running backs going. Okay, so everybody telling me Claypool. Everybody telling me Claypool. So where are you drafting Patrick Mahomes then if Tyreek Hill goes down? Are you expecting the volume to dip that much? Okay, what about Jerry Jeudy? Jerry Jeudy or Mecole Hardman with no Tyreek Hill in Kansas City? Okay, so Salvador says could be freaking Pringle and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Byron Pringle is not playing over Mecole Hardman. That is not happening for a second. Okay, so we actually have Spencer saying he'd be going in the 5th round. That's what I'm thinking. I think he goes in the 5th, 6th round if you have a Tyreek Hill injury. I think he's in that range where he's probably going near the Robbie Anderson, Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. Okay, so Michael Thomas finally goes off the board at the 902. Okay, that's very, very interesting. I think that's a great value. I think that's the furthest that we have seen Michael Thomas fall in one of these drafts in a very long time. And let me go through. Let me show the beginning of the draft board for anybody who's just now coming out here. Wrong button. Sorry about that. Let's scroll that up so everybody can see the very top of the draft. Y'all can make fun of my selections. We drafted at the 110. We went Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Cooper Kupp, T.J. Hawkinson, Javonte Williams, Michael Gallup, and Curtis Samuel. So, of course, my dudes, feel free to make fun of me for going through and making those decisions. We're also about to pass 400 likes in the live stream. I think we can get to 500. I think we can get to 500 likes in the live stream, my dudes. We get to 500 likes on the live stream, we're getting another draft going. Or how about this? If we get to either 500 likes on the live stream or we have our peak concurrent viewers for the stream. So far, our highest viewer count for the stream is 390. So we either have more than 390 viewers in here whenever this draft ends, or we have 500 likes on the stream. Dropping a like, I can guarantee you gets more viewers in here. So definitely make sure you do both. And we'll get another draft going. Our next draft would be a $5 draft. This one right here is a $50 draft. Okay, so after we go Curtis Samuel, it feels like we have a million years until our next pick. So now let's figure out where we're going to go at the 9-10. So we have yet to draft a quarterback. So we have to be on the lookout for seeing if we have any guys that we like falling to us. Now, the teams after us each have a quarterback, so I don't necessarily think that we have to worry too much about getting one in the 9th round. So let's see where the best round decides to go. So he's drafted 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a QB, and a tight end. So he goes Russell Gage. I think we actually do go wide receiver here because it looks like the wide receiver tier drop-off is going to be very fast. I know Hollywood Brown's dealing with an injury, but I still think that he is actually going to be the correct call here. And we can get a quarterback that we like falling back to us in the 11th round. I just think that when both of those two guys go with a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, they both can't double up on QBs and end up coming out with just 3 quarterbacks each. That would be crazy. So I think at the very most, you see 2 quarterbacks going here, and there are 3 quarterbacks in a tier. So I'm fine getting our wide receiver, understanding that wide receiver is about to see a steeper drop-off. Okay, so Melvin Gordon goes in the 9-11. Okay, so yeah, we don't necessarily have to worry about a QB there. And thank God we got our running backs. Zach Moss got a bunch of positive buzz coming out of Buffalo as well. We have Zach Moss in a lot of these leagues. Okay, so Ethan says, Mason, I'm going to try and get my dad to get the draft guide for me. LOL. Hey, get your dad to start playing on some Underdog fantasy. I will say that. And also a big thing is, guys, like I said, if we hit 10,000 flock signups on Underdog Fantasy, we're doing a 24-hour live stream. And trust me, we'll have events in the live stream. We'll be planning out some fun things. Y'all can be voting on some things for us to do, not just draft or maybe do stuff while we are drafting. So that'll be a massive event. So a big thing that y'all can do to help us get there is tell your friends that you're drafting with this year. Be like, hey, y'all want to get some extra drafts in? We can get some practice in on Underdog Fantasy. If we all use promo code FLOCK, we will all get a $25 bonus. And also, y'all all drastically help out the channel. So that'd be massive. Now, here in the 10th round, we're going to be getting our quarterback 1 in Matthew Stafford. He's going to be coming in. He's going to be getting that stack for us with Cooper Kupp. And I almost said TJ Hawkinson, but obviously no longer TJ Hawkinson getting stacked with Matthew Stafford, sadly. Okay, so Party Told You Thought says, bro, Hollywood and Galladay have the same injury. Why fade Kenny? I don't like either, just curious. My man, I'm not necessarily fading Kenny Galladay or Hollywood Brown harder than the other. I'm just saying if we have Hollywood falling to us at the end of the 9th round, I actually really do prefer Hollywood at the end of the 9th compared to Kenny Galladay, who I was actually fading coming in before the injury regardless. I mean, where did Kenny Galladay end up going in this draft? Galladay went... Yeah, here he goes at the 607. I think at the 607, I do prefer having some other of those wide receivers in that range. I prefer having an elite quarterback in a Kyler Murray, whereas the opportunity cost that we passed up on with a Hollywood Brown in either Corey Davis or Henry Ruggs just isn't going to be as large. So I actually do prefer getting Hollywood there. We could have considered Noah Fant as well. I do love that Noah Fant value, but a big thing is I mean, Hollywood Brown is just the definition of a best ball target where you know he's going to have those spike weeks. Then you're not going to know when they're coming, but they are randomly going to be popping up here or there. Joel says, made 4K on it today. What did you make 4K on, my man? I probably don't even really care. Unless you're making 4K on fantasy drafts, I don't really care. Ethan says, Mason, what are your opinions on Jefferson's injury? It sounds like Justin Jefferson day-to-day is going to be completely fine. Don't worry about Justin Jefferson whatsoever. We went through, and in the live draft last night, we were still having the uncertainty. We hadn't had any reports come out about the testing. So, yeah, I mean, actually, in the live draft, about halfway through, we got those reports, so you didn't have to worry anymore about Justin Jefferson. So, Jalen Hurts finally goes off the board here at the 10-10. So, is Uncle Drew, is he on auto draft? Because it seemed like that was an auto, and he... Okay, never mind. My bad. I thought that was the team that got Kirk Cousins at the 6-11. I thought that was about to be a Jalen Hurts and a Kirk Cousins. Okay, so Logan Thomas at the 10-11. Y'all know I love some Logan Thomas value. Okay, so let's switch this over. So Tannehill last until the 10-12. There's some other quarterbacks in Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence. At wide receiver, you got Marvin Jones. It would have been intriguing to see the 10-12 team. Actually, they already have 2 quarterbacks. So never mind. I was going to see if Jay Elder only had 1 QB, if he could double up on Marvin Jones and Trevor Lawrence instead of drafting Ryan Tannehill and getting that stack. Jayan coming out with a donation. I'm sorry that I'm just now seeing this, my man, saying that I can't wait for Duvernay to murder your OU sucks stack. My man, it is sad that I'm out here drafting someone who is not smart enough to make the correct decision, not smart enough to go to the University of Texas, and instead he decides to go to Oklahoma for whatever reason. I will tell y'all guys, I had an aunt that lived in Norman, Oklahoma, and we would go there whenever I was like 12 years old. And no lie, I went to Norman, Oklahoma maybe like 10 times when I was 12 years old. And at 12 years old, I would dread that trip every single time because there's nothing to do in Norman, Oklahoma. So, of course, when you're seeing a Hollywood Brown decide to voluntarily go there to school when he could have gone really anywhere else, when he's Antonio Brown's cousin, you have to question the decision-making at the very minimum. Spack coming out says, Gibby Dobbins at the 2-3 equals money falling from the sky. My man, that is really funny. Okay, so Tony Pollard at the 1104. Trey Lance at the 1105. I hate to see it. I mean, if we were going to get Lance in the 11th round, that would have been fantastic. Dwayne says, how many rounds will there need to be for you to take Tebow Mason? There would need to be, I'll tell you this. We do dynasty drafts all the time that go 35 rounds. I mean, I go 35 rounds all the time, and I've never considered drafting Tebow. It hasn't crossed my mind. Not for a single second. Okay, so Nelson at the 1104. Casey says, Mason, for sure, you have to break down my team. I'm at the 104. Yes, sir, I'll break down your team at the 104. Cheesy Cheddar. Let me make sure we get our picks coming out of this turn, though. Okay. So at the 11-10, so we have 4 running backs in Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Javonte Williams. We have 4 wide receivers in Cooper Kupp, Michael Gallup, Curtis Samuel, Hollywood Brown. We have a tight end in T.J. Hawkinson. So let's go blue goes Jalen Reagor. See where the best around decides to go. So the best around has Mahomes at QB, at running back. Okay, he's weak at running back. Montgomery, Mostert, Moss, Connor. Really strong at receiver with Hopkins, Deontay, Odell, Antonio Brown, and Travis Kelce at tight end. So a very, very strong team. I'll say that. Very strong team. So he goes Marvin Jones, pissing me off. Oh my God, that hurts. I really wanted Marvin Jones. Now we go Rondale Moore most likely. Yeah, we're going to go Rondale Moore here. Rondale Moore definitely has the spike week potential. I mean, an elite level athlete. I actually really liked him coming out of Purdue. You looked at him and he had a ridiculous true freshman season. So yeah, we're going to go Rondale Moore at the 11-10. Okay. So Kyle says, you're going to break down all the teams. I'm at the 105. We'll look at both the 104 and the 105 at the same time. I would definitely cover both the 104 and the 105 at the same time, my dude. Joel says, you treat me so bad, Holmes. I'm sorry. Says, Mason, what do I got to do to get some respect on my name? My man, I'm sorry. I just didn't want to be coming out talking about some other people's finances on a live stream about fantasy football. I'm sorry, my man. Okay. So let's switch this over. And Latavius Murray looking like a fantastic value. But the problem is we can't go Murray. I mean, we've drafted 4 running backs here. Okay, so at the 12:03, I guess we could go tight end. I like a Terrace Marshall, but the problem is I don't know how many times we can continue to hammer in those young rookie wide receivers that may not be productive right away. I think we're kind of overlapping a little bit too much with their timeline. So I like Terrace Marshall. I don't think he fits the build. We're going to go Gesicki because if I go Gesicki, I'm going to be a lot more willing to only draft 2 tight ends in this format. So yeah, we're going to go TJ Hawkinson and Mike Gesicki. Let's switch this over real quick. And we passed 400 likes on the live stream, my dude. 80 more likes, and we'll go through and we'll get that other draft going after this one. That would be a $5 draft. Okay, Patrick says, hey, Mason, I just used your promo code FLOCK. How do I get your draft sheet? Okay, first off, my man, thank you so much for using promo code FLOCK. Second off, I apologize. It's not a draft sheet. It's going to be way more in depth than a draft sheet. It's going to be hundreds of pages. And lastly, all you have to do is shoot me a DM on either Discord, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, really wherever. Shoot me a DM and say, hey, Mason, I use promo code FLOCK promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy to get our $25 bonus. Can I please have the draft guide as well? And I'll go, yes, man. Thank you. Make sure you send me the email that you used to sign up for Underdog Fantasy so I can confirm. So yeah, thank you, my man. Jeremy says, Mason, better let the dog in. Don't want to get booted from your new crib. I know, my man. I need to. She wants in. She wants in. The problem is I just have so many lights and stuff set up in here. I don't want to let her in and just have her knock over everything. Okay, so Beasley, Sammy Watkins at the 12:07, the 12:08. Emmanuel Sanders at the 12:09. So we did, you know what? We could have, I don't want to say too much because what sucks is just picking at the end like here. I honestly think we either want to be picking at the 101, the 106, the 107. I kind of want to be either having, Actually, that's a lie. The 102. I think literally that if you can choose your draft selections this year in order of the best draft selections to choose, I would go the 101, the 102, then maybe from there, like the 106, 107. The end of the first, honestly, I think is kind of sucky. I was kind of excited about it when we first started to get the spot after finally being able to get out of the middle of the first round. But I think the end of the first is worse than the middle of the first. The 304, the 305 kind of, I mean, the 303, 103, 104, 105 kind of dead man's range. But anyway, let's go through and let's go and check out those teams at the 104 and 105 like we said we were going to. So let's pull this up. 103, you have Kamara, Kittle, Keenan, Henderson. Okay, so Henderson at the 410. I don't know what I think about that pick. Actually, I know what I think about it. I don't like Henderson at the 410. I just think they bring someone in. I think that we prefer having both Travis Etienne and Josh Jacobs over Henderson. I'm fine going running back there. I think running back could have been a fine pick. I mean, T. Higgins is a great value at the 503, probably one of the best picks in the draft. Sutton at the 610. Herbert at the 703 to get that stack in there with Keenan Allen. Robinson at the 810 as your third running back to get guaranteed touches. Elijah at the 903. Jalen Hurts at the 1010, way beyond his ADP. Traquan, Terrace Marshall. Traquan, I think, do we need to bump down Traquan just slightly given the reports that we're getting out of New Orleans? I think maybe they have a little bit of substance to them. And then Cheesy Cheddar, let's go look at this draft real quick. Where Devontae Adams, Darren Waller. Okay, so goes 4 rounds without getting a running back, then gets Jacobs, Mike Day. This is a very good draft here. Tony Pollard in the 11th. I mean, you're going to have to roster probably 5 or 6 running backs. You're probably going to have to roster 6 running backs in this team. Maybe I'm just underrating Mike Davis. Maybe you can only get away. You can get away with 5 running backs. That's a really good team. Youngster, 105. Henry, 208. Taylor. McLaurin. I definitely want to be going A-Rob, Robert Woods over McLaurin. I do not like getting Lamar Jackson in the 4th round. I guess when you get Andrews in the 5th, it kind of makes up for it. But still, I think that you're taking way too much risk. I think that's just too high of an opportunity cost to do this. I think that we would prefer getting a wide receiver like a DJ Moore way over Lamar Jackson. Especially, you're taking Andrews ahead of ADP, so you're making a double reach to get both of those guys. Tyler Boyd at the 806, Sermon, Bateman, Rojo, Parker, Lance, Watkins. Is Watkins flying up these drafts? Is Watkins going higher and higher in these drafts? Because that's what I've begun to notice. I've begun to notice that Watkins is going higher. Okay, we got some donations coming in. One from AGR Plays says, yo, can you rank the best picks for fantasy 1 to 10? Man, maybe I can do that on a video or something. That'd be like a pretty funny video. I have no idea how to even attack that. I'll go through a look at the draft board and I'll tell you some of my favorite picks in this draft. I'll tell you that. That's just such a off the wall question. Okay. So now let's pull this up. I think that Madison goes, I think we just get Jacoby Myers as most likely the wide receiver 1 in New England. Obviously, you're hoping that Mac Jones comes in. Mac Jones brings some passing volume to the offense. But yeah, we're going to get Jacoby Myers there in the 13th round. Okay, so AJR Plays says, yo, can you rank the best picks for fantasy 1 to 10? Okay, so let's talk about some of my favorite targets. One of them, Travis Etienne in the 5th round. Has to be up there. Also, other picks. Kenyon Drake, if you can get him in the 11th. Trey Lance is going to be going a lot later in your casual fantasy football leagues than where he went here. Love getting Trey Lance later than where he went in this draft. Beyond this, at tight end, a pick that I really like based on the volume that he projects to see as well as the quarterback upgrade is going to be Logan Thomas. A running back that I like based on his floor ceiling combination is going to be A.J. Dillon. I really like all of the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receivers as well as Trevor Lawrence to get a Jacksonville Jaguars stack this season. Beyond this, we scroll up slightly more. Higgins. See, the problem is a lot of these players I was pumping a month ago have risen. Like Higgins was someone that I was screaming was a great value. And he jumps 2 rounds and I kind of have to sit there and go, is he still a great value? Okay, so Christian Kirk at the 1402. Can't go tight end. Can't go running back. We're only quarterback receiver here. I'm not going Fitzpatrick. We're going our favorite wide receiver in this range. I think given the Carson Wentz injury, we kind of have to overlook the Indianapolis guys. I think we just have to go with the wide receiver playing a lot of snaps for a very good quarterback in Arizona. We have Rondale Moore. Oh my God. We have Rondale Moore to go along with them. So let's switch this back. So now let's go. And Zachary says, Norman isn't that bad. OU football is better also. I will admit, my man, I'm going to just throw in the towel. Yes, OU football is significantly better than UT football. And let me know what y'all think about this, because y'all are probably going to make fun of me, and I'm probably going to embarrass myself in saying this. Listen to my hypothesis. This is what I've been telling a lot of my friends and why I think that UT football has not been good for years. I think a big problem with college football is if you have a college where there's a lot to do in the city, where there's a lot of distractions to be had, being taken away from football, I think it's going to be harder to have a good program there, because I think you can get the talented recruits to come, but when you get them there, I think they're going to be slightly less focused in on football. And I think you look at this with just trying to point out the fact that most major cities that used to have premier football programs, a Miami, a UT Austin, a USC, they have not been relevant in years. Whereas the schools that are out in the middle of nowhere, in Alabama, in LSU, those schools are surging in Oklahoma. So I think a big thing is those football programs that get 18-year-old kids to go to their city and there's literally nothing to do there, like a Norman, like a Baton Rouge. And when I say nothing to do there, I understand there's stuff to do there. I'm probably being an ass, but I'm saying compared to USC with LA, compared to Miami with Miami, compared to UT with Austin, I think there's a lot less to do. There are a lot less distractions. Let me know what y'all think about that, because those other programs, they still get top recruits, but at the same time, they can never be as competitive as those other schools. Of course, coaching and everything has way more to do with it, but I think it's a small factor. Let me know what y'all are thinking about that. JN says, at the moment, coaching. Okay, hopefully. Okay, so Rashad Perriman, Diami Brown. JN says, so what about USC living the Hollywood life in 2002? My man, I think that the lifestyle back then was probably so different than what these athletes see now. I think that the fame that they have now, like just walking around the street when these top college prospects have 80,000 Twitter followers before they get out of high school, I think it's a night and day difference. That's why I'm saying those top programs that used to be in major cities, I think that's why they honestly maybe have kind of fallen off. Okay. So Rashad Perriman, Diami Brown, Marquez Callaway. Okay, so it looks like we got a lot of people in the chat saying I am an idiot, and that has no factor with it. But yeah, my dudes, that's a small hypothesis that I have. Probably wrong, probably has nothing to do with it. But I mean, there were a lot of schools in major cities a while ago that were at the very top of the nation. Now it seems like everybody is just on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Okay, so MVS, Giovanni Bernard, and guys, trust me, I know coaching has way, way, way more to do with it, of course. Okay, so Giovanni Bernard, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jared Cook. Party Till She Saw It says a Gibson injury lingering, though. He had Saquon. Him and Saquon may be the riskiest picks. I think at this point, a lot of people are focusing in a little bit too much on injuries in early August because we don't have that much else to focus in on. So I think people are kind of grasping on to any small news that we have and kind of running with it. Okay, so Philip Lindsay at the 1504. So if we're looking at our own roster construction, I think that we're maybe going to have to go with 3 QBs because we did wait until about the 10th round to get Matthew Stafford. So when we wait until the 10th, I think we probably want to be coming away with 3 guys. So at running back, we have Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Javonte Williams, all on different bye weeks. So I think we're going to be fine, maybe fading the running back position from here. Wide receiver, we have Kupp, Gallup, Curtis, Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, Jacoby Myers, AJ Green. So we definitely need some more wide receivers coming into this unit. We definitely need some more wide receiver action. We need some quarterback action as well. So I think we're going to get a QB and a wide receiver at this turn here, at the 15-16 turn, because you know that when we're getting quarterbacks, we want to make sure that we have them. Okay, so we have the 15, 16, 17. Okay, so we have 4 picks left. So we are going to end up coming away with 9 wide receivers on this team. Okay, so the best round, let's see where he goes. He takes Nico Collins. I'm not a massive fan of the pick, but I honestly think we have to get T.Y. Hilton here. There are multiple quarterbacks that I'm fine with getting on the way back. So we're going to get T.Y. Hilton at the end of the 15th. We'll take whatever quarterback falls to us. I'm fine with multiple options. So Zach Wilson goes to the 15-11. Probably my preferred option, to be honest. So that kind of sucks. Well, let's do a no cam. Let's do no cam. Just with T.Y. Hilton, I mean, I think that, in my opinion, he was the clear pick in the 15th round. At the end of the day, he's very similar to A.J. Green. Never really wanting him in a league where you have access to the waiver wire. But here it's a little different in that you're looking at T.Y. Hilton as a wide receiver. That's just going to be playing a lot of snaps, seeing a lot of targets. In the best ball, that's valuable. Okay. So Fitzmagic goes. Honestly, I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying it. Not interested in Fitzmagic at all. Cole Kmet, just crazy that Cole Kmet continues to fall this far. So in the 16th round, we are going to be grabbing another QB. If this was Best Ball Mania, where we're looking for a ceiling play, we're looking for someone with just a ton of potential to move up in ADP, there we get Deshaun Watson. But here, given the fact that we're just trying to win this 12-man league instead, there we're just going to go with the safer option. We're going to go with someone that's playing all 16 weeks. We're going to get Derek Carr coming in. Okay, and we have 2 more picks that we are going to be making here. So Carr at the 1603. I think we go... Actually, are we going? Yeah, we're going to go 1 more quarterback, 1 more receiver. Maybe if all the quarterbacks are dried up and we're only looking at a guy like Carson Wentz, then we just double up receiver. But I definitely think that when you're having Derek Carr as your quarterback too, we're only really wanting to roll with that if we have someone like Kyler, if we have someone like a Patrick Mahomes there. I think we are fine with just going with the Derek Carr as our second option. Here it's going to be a little bit different though, so I think that we do want to go get a third guy. Okay, so Darius Slayton at the 1605. Guys, if you have yet to drop a like on the live stream, please make sure you go and drop that like. It helps us out so much. Spack says Gibson was ranked 5 in half-point PPR before getting hurt last year, and that was on a smaller workload than he'll have this season. My man, trust me, I love Antonio Gibson. Nobody was higher on Antonio Gibson last year as a prospect coming into the NFL than I was. We were drafting him in so many leagues. You do not have to consider me to move. I mean, oh my God, I'm going to have to go grab the dog. I'm grabbing the dog, my dudes. Okay, I am sorry about that. I had to go get her. That was just a bad situation. But let's go through and come here, girl. Come here. Come here, Miley. It's okay, baby. You're being a good girl. Yeah, no, she was very loud. Sorry about that, my dudes. It's okay. It's okay. She just gets really scared with the people that are outside the apartment. Okay, so Hamler at the 1607. Alan Lazard at the 1608. God dang, Cole Kmet is ridiculous value there in this end of the 16th. End of the 16th. So Cole Kmet at the end of the 16th, when we decided to go with Mike Gesicki at the beginning of the 12th, I think that we probably need to be making an adjustment where the quarterbacks in this range of Mike Gesicki and Anthony Firkser or Rob Gronkowski, we probably can't be considering them. Because if you ask me the 1v1 that we would prefer to have, like let's go and let's look at the wide receivers that we are about to have to be drafting. So we're going to have to draft another wide receiver on this team. The guys that we're going to be looking at are like a Tyrell Williams, we're not going to be probably looking at DeMarcus Robinson anymore, given the reports out of camp. And then it's essentially Tyrell Williams, Van Jefferson, Dwayne Eskridge, Byron Pringle, Olamide Zaccheaus. Whereas at tight end, you get Cole Kmet, you get Austin Hooper. And you're not really giving up any opportunity cost to do so. So I definitely think that waiting on tight end is actually probably the preferred play here. Keona says, how should I have done better from the 12 spot? Let's go through and let's check out the 12 spot. The 1-2 turn, every single person starts Diggs, Ridley. I think that's been every single draft so far today. Diggs, Ridley. Then you have Carson in the third. Yeah, you maybe if you would have added Dobbins there, you can double up on running back. Gaskin, Hunt, I like. Rodgers at the 7-12 is okay value. I think Rodgers is fine there. Fuller, Corey Davis, Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs at the 10-01 goes before what wide receivers? You know what? I think Rodgers is actually probably a bad pick. Because if we look at this, you went Rodgers over Curtis Samuel. Would you prefer the combination of Rodgers and Ruggs or Curtis Samuel and Stafford? I think we probably prefer Curtis Samuel and Stafford. That's just a small nitpick thing, though. Then Edwards, Latavius Murray, Gronk, Baker Mayfield, Ryan Fitzpatrick. And when you take Rodgers in the 7th, I don't necessarily know if we want to be getting 3 quarterbacks on the roster. That could be something that I'm wrong with, and I'm really willing to be wrong on it. Jane says, let me know how I did. My man, you did very bad. How funny would that have been if I didn't say anything after that? My man, let me get my picks in here, and then we'll definitely go and check yours out. I just want to make sure that we know what we're doing here. Okay, so yeah, we'll check that team out. Okay, so in the 17th, so we need another quarterback. We need another wide receiver at this turn because we waited way too long a receiver. We went heavy on running back early, essentially just knowing that's going to free up some roster spots for us later on, rolling in after draft for running backs. So we have Marquise Goodwin going off of the 1707, Van Jefferson. Okay, the 1710. What quarterbacks are available? So you have Taysom. These QBs are not intriguing whatsoever. We're just going to get a wide receiver that we like. I actually think we get Byron Pringle now that it sounds like he's going to be the wide receiver 3 in Kansas City. You know what? This draft, we've been drafting Pringle a lot lately. There's no reason for me to be that overweight on Pringle. I think we diversify a little bit here. We get the 2nd round pick for Seattle this year, and we just go lock up those snaps with an elite level quarterback in Russell Wilson. And we'll get a 3rd quarterback here between Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz. Okay. So now Patel says, let me know how I did at the 103. Keep it up, Mason. Yes, sir. Of course. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to this live stream. I promise you, I will go through and cover those teams. We need to get the 103. We also need to get, I believe, Jay into the 106. Yeah, no, he's the 107. Okay, so Dalton Schultz goes. We have to get a quarterback here. And the question is, who do we think? I think Taysom Hill may score more points this year than Carson Wentz, to be honest. So when are the bye weeks for Stafford and Carr? So the bye weeks for Stafford and Carr aren't until week 11, week 8. We're pretty confident that Carson Wentz is actually going to be back by then. So maybe instead we actually go out and we get a Carson Wentz. This is hard. We're going to get Carson Wentz on this team. Okay. We did pass 3,000 projected points on this roster where we went 3 QBs, 4 running backs, 9 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. But let's switch this over here. Let me switch it to a no cam. That way we can check out these teams real quick. Okay, so let's first check out JN at the 107. Man, I really think we want to be going Kelsey in this format over Tyreek Hill. I could be wrong there, but that is one suggestion that I have. Then CEH, I think when you bet on the Chiefs offense, I'm fine going CEH in the 2nd. A-Rob, I like the value in the 3rd. Sanders, like the value in the 4th. Then loading up, right? Okay, what I need to figure out is I need to figure out what you did at QB. So loading up on wide receiver here, getting tight end, getting another. Okay, thank God. I thought for a second you were only going to come away with Fields and Tua, and I thought that was going to be. This is a very interesting roster. I really like this team. I think maybe. Okay, I'll say the clear mistake here, and honestly, it isn't even close. It's a clear mistake. Is you had to draft. This team would have been the strongest team in the league if you got rid of the UT bias and you didn't draft Malcolm Brown at the 1606. You take Cole Kmet there, this team's the strongest team in the league, and you have 3 tight ends instead. That'd have been fantastic. Now let's see where Uncle Drew went. We already covered the beginning of the draft where we talked about not liking the Darrell Henderson pick. I definitely prefer going with an ETN or Josh Jacobs. And yeah, I think that it's honestly not even close when you can make that 1-for-1 swap. And then we go down and we look 7th, give that stack. Hurts, best value available according to ADP. Tre'Quan Smith, I am interested to know if we should be moving him down slightly with the reports coming out of New Orleans. Jared Cook at the 1503. I've seen a lot of people do this, so it could be correct, but I think we do prefer waiting a round or 2 to get a Cole Kmet or an Austin Hooper, but that's just going to be my personal preference. I think from a roster construction standpoint, you're strong and that you didn't necessarily need to go heavy running back when you get an Alvin Kamara. But I think, my dudes, we are most likely going to be done with the stream here. Let me know. Yeah, we hit 450 likes. We're at 319 viewers. The thing is, guys, I think the streams will be a lot better going forward if I can go to bed by like 12:30 tonight so I can get like 6-7 hours of sleep instead of 4 or 5, because the streams tomorrow, we're going to stream a $500 fantasy draft. So please make sure you come out. You can participate in the draft if you want to. You can get in the $500 league if you want to. You just have to be in the live chat. So please make sure you come out. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing with the 11 other people who decide to sign up. And yeah, I need to get my sleep to get ready for that league. I have a lot of draft guides that I need to send out. Like I said, guys, if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, you get a $25 bonus on a $10 deposit. And for whatever reason, you also get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide or 2021 Dynasty Fantasy Football Draft Guide. That's hundreds of pages of value, literally for a $10 deposit, where you're going to use that $10. You're going to play in fantasy drafts. You're going to get paid $25 to do so. It makes no sense. It helps out the channel a ton. So please take advantage. And I probably have 50 draft guides that I need to go out and send out tonight. So thank you, everybody coming out. I will send out a link for our free fantasy football group chat real quick for anybody wanting to get in. I'm just going to spam this over and over and over again in the chat. Guys, this is going to be a free chat, no credit card, no email or anything needed. Literally click the link, choose a nickname, start chatting. So let me go through and send this out. Okay. So sending that out. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for coming out. Party Tells You Saw says, Mason, tomorrow I'm dominating the $500 draft. My man, I'm excited to have you out there. I'm excited to go against you. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys, and have a great day.